Hello, everybody, and thank you for dropping into this edition of Walking the Ropes. I am Caleb.
And I'm Blake. We have a interesting show for you tonight. It's one of these really long ones.
Mega show is what we're calling it right now.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna be running through Impact, Dynamite, NXT, SmackDown, and then once again we got a pay-per-view this week. We gotta predict Sacrifice.
Yeah, I was actually checking it. We have a 2 weekend gap with, from my knowledge, no pay-per-view coming up after next weekend, because next weekend is Fastlane, and then we have 2 weekends until WrestleMania, but I mean that whole week's nuts. Anyways, we are still trying to figure out our schedule for that week because there's so much.
Yes.
But before we get into the podcast, as per usual, if you are new to Walking the Ropes or if you've been listening for a while, you can find absolutely all of our links through our link tree. That includes ways to support us, like merch, a donation page. You can find every way to listen to us, which there's tons of ways to listen to us, all of our social media, absolutely everything through our link tree, Walking the Ropes, and yeah, we'll run through here, similar to the last mega show. As for video users, we're not going to have the banners because things are so messed up. For those of you listening, we're just going to run through like normal, and I will preface this here as we go through it. SmackDown was tonight, and I missed it. I had other things going on, and I ended up not getting to my computer until like 10 to 10. We wanted to do the podcast, so Blake will handle the majority of that, and most of the show, it'll be my first time hearing anything about it, so it may be interesting. It may be interesting, but we will hop into Impact Wrestling here.
Yeah.
Did you see Before the Impact this week?
I didn't catch it. It was
It
Fulton.
was
Fulton was in a match.
TJP versus Madman Fulton. Ace Austin at ringside. TJP picked up the win after the Mamba Splash. Ace Austin attacked him after the match with the trophy, bent the trophy to shit. That was about it. Like, it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, Before the Impact seems to be more of like their recap kind of show, and then it
Yeah,
has a match on it.
yeah, they just kind of throw a match in there to get it done and over with.
hmm
But we open the show, and we have Tasha Steelz against Jazz, Kiara Hogan, and Jordan Grace at ringside, very obviously. And decent match. I was actually surprised by the finish.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not surprised because I feel like the title match at Sacrifice. I feel like what's going to happen there is pretty self-explanatory, and I feel like this is the reason why Jazz picks up the win here.
That's fair. I mean, I'm just so used to Impact's booking so far after getting back into them, is they seem to go kind of a really predictable route, or
hmm
like when something's right there that you're like, oh, they have a good opportunity here, they kind of just they don't do it. And
Yeah,
so when they set up
for
this
sure.
match, I'm like, they need to give Jazz the win to make it look good. And I figured it'd be some kind of a screwy finish, but she just locked her in like an STF and got the submission. And I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, they actually put Jazz over.
Yeah, and the managers in this match, Jordan Grace and Kiera Hogan, didn't really get involved.
Yeah, there wasn't much from them. They were just kind of there, which was nice.
Yeah. So it was
Um,
really just your standard one-on-one match, and yeah, Jazz picked up the win, which, I mean, if you look on paper, that's exactly what should happen.
oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, you're talking Jazz. I mean, you put Jazz's name into one of those conversations. Like,
Yeah.
um, but anyways, we get a backstage interview with ODB talking about the title match at Sacrifice, and here
The
comes...
4-time knocked up champion.
When she said that, I just kind of paused, and I was like, oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, you're ODB. I'll let you get away with this one.
It popped me because it just made me laugh too much more than it should have. But
yeah. But we have Susan come in, and she's just like, I want you one-on-one. And I'm like, what?
Bold of you to assume you can call somebody out.
Pretty well. But yeah. If you want to handle the next one here.
I really love the end of that when ODB offers the flask and Susan goes, I don't drink, and ODB goes, me either.
Or no, it's the interviewer. She offers it to the interviewer, and she goes, I'm working, and ODB goes, me too. And I'm like, you know what? Sure. Yep. Yeah, I love that. I'm working. Me too. Just, cool. Okay. At least her flask worked better than John Moxley's at Revolution, if nobody noticed that. He's standing there, like, trying to get it fucking open, make a really cool moment in the fans, and, well, we all know how that worked out.
Too much.
Well, he finally got open by the time he got to the ring, but the moment left.
Yeah.
But ODB's been doing it longer.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get Trey Miguel back at his school. Basically, he's just trying to talk some sense into, I believe the name is Sam.
They were actually backstage.
Was it backstage? It looked like it was back at his school.
Yeah, it was backstage.
Okay.
Because first I thought it was going to be him in his school, and then I don't know, it was something about the hallway that they were in.
Okay.
And then what they set up for, I put together that they were just backstage.
It looked like that front room that Sammy was in at the training facility there. That's why
you know what? Maybe it was. Maybe I'm wrong. I have
no idea.
I don't know. But anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah. But basically Sam says that Sammy was right and that Trey doesn't have the passion to beat pretty much anybody, and that Sammy wants him to challenge Trey to a match. And so he does. And Trey's like, no, we're not going to do that. And Sam just keeps poking him pretty much. And then Trey's like, fine, if that's what you want.
Yeah, if you want to get your ass kicked, fine.
Yeah.
We get a video package recapping Moose and Rich Swann's whole thing, which I gotta be honest, I saw this and I knew we were getting the thing at the end of the night, but I was like, this is all the buildup we're gonna get. Like, yes, I understand this program has had months of buildup, but I'm like, we're finally getting this match, and I'm like, the buildup we've gotten in the past 3 weeks. I mean, Moose had a really impressive showing. I think that was last week that him and Jake happened, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So I'm like, good showing, or no, that was 2 weeks ago. I think. I don't fully remember. I'm trying to think of...
Must have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, because I was going to say last week all we got was a video package.
Last week's main event was the Knockouts tag.
Right. So yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. So like last week we got a video package. This week we got a video package, and then we'll get into the finish of the show. But I'm like, y'all are building up to something fucking huge.
Yeah.
And this was our last 2 weeks of build up?
Yeah, the one thing when we eventually get to Scott, he keeps saying that tonight's a really hectic night.
Yeah.
And so I almost wonder if we're going to keep playing into that heading into the next few shows leading up to after
Rebellion.
Sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if maybe they are kind of making Sacrifice this secondary pay-per-view and Rebellion is the...
So it is. They actually have their A and B pay-per-views. From what I've been able to tell. Which I'd find to be quite interesting that they are are doing it this way.
Mm-hmm.
My only issue is what I feel like what they're running into is it's starting to feel like the when they reinstated the brand split in WWE
Yeah.
and we were getting the pay-per-views every month
Yes.
and the buy rates were down because nobody cared. They were just pieces of shit basically.
Yeah.
And
I
we're
think where Impact's getting away with that is they're not putting on nothing shows. Like, they are actually kind of meaningful what happens on them. It's just they really should try to structure them a bit better.
Sacrifice though, it like there is some big stuff on it, but if you
And
look at
I
the
have a feeling,
card, it does feel a lot like and like this isn't meant to sound terrible because like I said there is good stuff there, but it feels like a glorified Impact. Which, by the way,
yeah,
looking at it, so here's a fun fact for you. Sacrifice is not an Impact pay-per-view.
it's a TNA.
No, TNA doesn't exist anymore. Remember?
Well,
No,
but I know
it's
that, but I
an
was meaning it's like a TNA original at one point.
no, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. It's not a
Okay.
pay-per-view. Sacrifice, similar to how No Surrender happened last month, and we got
Oh, it's on Impact Plus.
Genesis the month before, they are Impact Plus monthly specials. So, because I wanted to look because I was like Hard to Kill was so built up and it felt like a pay-per-view card. And the
Mm-hmm.
last few, like No Surrender was good. It had some good shit to it, but it felt like a glorified Impact.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
what I was trying to figure out. And so I looked it up. And yeah, the only pay-per-views this year have been Hard to Kill and Rebellion coming up. And prior to that was Bound for Glory in October. But
Right.
they apparently hold monthly Impact Plus specials, which happens to be what we're getting.
Nice.
So
Um, yeah. But yeah, so whatever they're doing there, we then move on to the tag team match. Rohit Raju, and they are just introducing him as Shira, but the announcers call him Mahabali Shira.
yeah, I noticed that and I was like, this seems kinda
Yeah, versus Chris Sabin and James Storm, um, which I've heard people calling them beer guns.
ugh, I don't like that. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah. And then that match pretty much goes almost exactly how we assumed it would, except for kind of the finish. Like, we get this, like, so Raju takes the pin,
Yeah.
and Shira, like, they kind of argue in the middle of all of this, Shira and Raju, and it's like, what's going on there? And then, like we said, Raju takes the finish, uh, and then we get just a quick package of Triple X XL and Reno Scum. They're arguing, uh,
Backstage.
yeah, and Decay comes in, taunts Triple XL. They just leave pretty much. Um, and then Reno Scum's like, oh, well, we'll fight you at Sacrifice because
Sure.
yeah. And then Decay calls them the Freaks. Um, and then we get Violent by Design. They are collecting Diener. So Diener stayed in that room the whole week. That boiler room, I guess.
Yeah, I
Diener was
was
in that
kind of
room the whole week.
confused. I was like, seriously, like you guys were just like, stay in this room all week, and
Yeah.
uh,
And then Eric's like, everything needs to be handled with violence.
yes, I agree.
Which was really good. And then Storm and Sabin come in. And I'm like, well, there's two people who like violence.
Yeah, no
Uh,
doubt.
uh, And then they're basically just like, what are you doing here, Young? Like, this is stupid what you're doing. Just, you need to stop doing what you're doing to Diener because you're just basically abusing him. And then they kind of just brawl.
Yeah, Eric Young's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, before we move on, I would like to
Yeah, for
point
sure.
out we skipped news. I know we didn't have a lot.
There's only 2 points that we really needed to talk about. We can talk about them after Impact if you want.
Okay, I noticed we skipped it, and I was like, we should probably fucking talk about that at some point. So I just wanted to get that out there before it was forgotten about.
Yeah, for sure.
So we just did Violent by Design. We're in Scott's office. Brian Myers comes in. They're talking about the lawyer papers and this and that. Brian Myers is just like, terminate Eddie Edwards' contract and like wipe his name from the history books. And Scott's like, why don't we just have like a holds harmless match at the at the at Sacrifice? And Myers is like, yeah, I love submission matches. And Scott's like, no, a fucking holds harmless match, meaning he can fucking basically beat you within an inch of your life. And that's just
Yeah.
it.
For some people who don't understand what that means,
It's basically no holds barred.
it means Impact is taking no responsibility for what happens in the match.
Lights out unsanctioned. I mean that was the original concept of no holds barred, and then no holds barred just kind of became an Extreme Rules and shit like that. But yeah, this is basically like I said, they can pretty well kill each other, and Impact just gets to sit there and be like, yeah.
Scott D'Amore is still my favorite authority figure on wrestling TV right now.
He takes the papers and he's like, I fucking hate paperwork. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. Nice, Scott. We have Trey Miguel come out. Sammy Callahan comes out, calls Trey a quitter, shit like that. We get Trey Miguel versus Sam Beal. Sam lasts a good 45 seconds and then taps out.
Yeah, because I mean, it's Trey's student. Of course, he would be able to deal with him very easily. He's taught him everything he knows.
Exactly. And then we have Trey going after Sammy. Sammy does his weird techie shit. He's suddenly in the ring. Package pile driver Sam. And then I literally have in my notes, he bleps out.
Yeah.
I had no other.
No, that's what he does. We get Storm and Sabin again talking to Young. Did that happen twice?
They weren't. So it was a promo. They were talking about what had happened. They weren't talking to him like in physical person.
My bad. Yeah. This is the one where they talk to them in person.
Yeah.
And I've now just lost where I was on my notes because I had to scroll back up. Sorry.
Yeah, the one earlier was them face to face and the brawl happened. This one was just Storm and Sabin, and they were basically like, y'all want to start shit. Let's handle that at the pay-per-view. And then Jake something comes out and he's like, I'll be at ringside for you, basically.
Yeah, why not just do a 6-man tag match? Is Eric Young not allowed to wrestle? Anyway, we get the AEW paid ad.
Which I loved as always.
They learned a lot at Revolution,
A lot.
We learned Kenny, terrible at making explosive rings. Fantastic wrestler.
The worst at making explosive rings. I still think Nakazawa wired it. Easy as that.
Has to have, yeah.
Fucking Nakazawa. It's because the kids beat him up.
And I really like Tony Khan and Shivani were very specific in what they said here. We will find out what happened with Eddie Kingston as well.
Yes, they were setting up to cover their asses as they should have.
Yeah. And what I will without spoiling what happens, they tie it up in a pretty bow.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Dynamite or NXT yet, I mean this with all sincerity, go and fucking watch them both
They
from
brought it
this
this
week.
week.
But anyways, we this is a great segment. We have the Good Brothers and Finn Juice with Scott D'Amore all backstage getting ready for the contract signing. And they're basically like, let's have a drink ski first. And Scott's just like, you know what? Nope. I have fucking seen how this goes. Here is the contract. Sign it and get it back to me. Adi fucking os. And he leaves.
And I love he gives it to Doc and he's like, you've handled this sort of stuff before. You can get it back to me.
Yep. Yeah, so like that happens and they just start doing shots and they do the first one and then they're like, let's do another. Or it's the Good Brothers like, we are only doing one. They're like, let's do another. And do another. Then Finjuice is like, we're just doing two, and they pour another.
Yeah.
Good Brothers take it back. They've all signed the contract at this point, and Finjuice is basically just like, okay, well, throws the whiskey in their face, and they just fucking brawl.
What's the whiskey? The Talking Shop bourbon?
Yeah, Talking Shop bourbon. Yep. Which is fucking expensive, by the way.
Is it probably?
And I can't seem to get it over the border, so that's another issue. But anyways,
the music they put to this brawl was interesting.
I was just like, we didn't need background to this.
I wonder if, because it's a pre-tape segment, obviously, if Doc or Carl or somebody was like muttering words that just weren't supposed to be heard on TV.
Punch me, punch me, punch me, punch me, kick me, punch me.
Well, I was more thinking along the lines of what Doc's character is. Like,
the only thing I can think about when you say that is the CM Punk StarCast interview, and he's talking about wrestling John Cena on the live events, and he's like, I can remember Cena fucking headlocks me, takes me over, and all I hear is hip toss, shoulder block, blah blah blah, and Punk's like, nah, like fuck that. And you just being like, they probably edited it. That's all I can imagine is those guys start brawling and it's just fucking kick, punch, punch, kick, punch.
That's hilarious.
We'll fucking edit it in post.
Yeah.
We'll edit
but
it
that
in
was
post.
my immediate assumption, is that there was just a lot of mutterings and stuff that they just didn't want to be interpreted as something that Impact could get caught for. And so
that's totally fair. I'll give you that. Where the fuck am I in my notes? I have so many here.
We move on to the singles match. We have Ace Austin with Madman Fulton versus Chris Bay with no one.
You make that sound so sad.
I've started to realize how many wrestlers have managers / somebody who accompanies them to the ring. That when I don't see it, I'm like, you don't have anyone that comes with you. Like,
yeah. But the match is really good.
It is. It's
TJP
really good.
comes out at one point, sets up on the ramp. Fulton,
he's just watching.
Fulton like chases him out, and Chris Bay picks up the win. Which I was like, oof, that don't look great on Ace heading into Saturday.
He's not winning. Like,
are they setting Chris Bay up for it? Which I want Chris Bay to
get. Yeah, I would love Chris Bay to get something.
I had never heard this kid's name. I say kid. I'm not sure how old he is.
26.
I was gonna say he's older than me, but I've not heard this kid's name in my
25.
life until I started Impact Wrestling in January, and in a matter of 3 months, he's made me a fan.
Yeah,
like.
And he's been with Impact for over a year now.
Really?
February 18th he signed with them.
Last year?
Yeah, 2020.
Wow. Okay. So it's not like I've missed a lot.
No, we've seen the majority of his career in Impact. I mean, looking at some of the pictures, he's had a decorated career outside of Impact.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that.
So, I mean, it looks like he is a former X Division champion as well. So,
Okay, sure. We have the Swingers Palace. TJP's in collecting his
best
money.
segment.
It sucked this week.
It really did.
Yeah, TJP comes in, collects his bet, and then Josh Alexander's just like coming for the belt, and TJP's like, cool. And Swingers
Yeah.
in the corner going, ha 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 ha, and I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
I'm like, normally I'm okay with these segments. This week sucked. I think it's
It was
because there
weird.
was no Storm and Sabin or
It was
fucking
probably that.
Falaba, because
Yeah.
fucking love me some Falaba.
Fair. We get
Oh yeah.
Raju and Shira arguing.
Here's the fucking fallout.
Yeah. So we had this kind of argument, and then nothing happened. And almost an hour later, they've just found each other, it seems like, backstage. Anyway,
Hey, I've been
Raju
wandering
has a
around
set.
backstage for 45 minutes. There you are. It's totally
Yeah.
not like we walked through the door together.
Yeah. Raju has a set on him because he basically just looks at Shira and is like, that was all your fault. What are you? I don't need you. Blah, 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 blah. And so Shira just grabs him by the head and picks him up. And I don't know about you, being any kind of grown man, if you're picked up by your skull, that kind of humbles you.
I can agree. Yes.
Let's suffice to say, we're going to get Raju versus Shira, and Shira is going to murder him.
Sure. Why the fuck not? Up next, we have ODB and Susan. It's really nothing too crazy. Trust her, she's Susan. ODB wins. Kimber and Deanna come down, attack ODB. Jazz and Grace make the save. Fire and Flava come out. And the heels stand tall.
Yeah.
And then we have... So this next bit, so the segment was cool, but the way they did it felt really awkward at first. Because we've got Scott D'Amore in his office, and he's like obviously finalizing whatever this is all about. And then all of a sudden, all you hear is Moose's music. And I'm not gonna lie, I fully expected the camera to pan and Moose be standing in the office doorway. And like, because of the way the music sounded, right? I'm like, he's got it on his cell phone or some shit.
And it's just Moose being a dick, like, I'm here.
Yeah, but they fucking pan to the ring and the motherfucker's in the ring like, Scott, get out here. And I'm like...
Yeah.
And D'Amore's like, I guess this can't wait. And then we get commercial.
Keep saying how hectic it is. He's like, oh, I'm really sorry how hectic this is. I gotta go. I gotta run. Blah, 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 blah. He had 2 contracts to sign from what we could tell.
Yeah.
For Scott's busy day.
Yeah, so anyways, we come back from commercial. Scott D'Amore comes out, and he's like, I'm going to bring Rich Swann out too. And he announces that the match at the pay-per-view will be a world title unification match, which we figured that's where it was going.
Mm-hmm.
And says there is another big announcement, which... I mean, the sad part about this is literally they included the Omega symbol in the Rebellion logo. And so literally from Hard to Kill, everybody was like, here's the Rebellion main event. Like, everybody knew. I mean, it's still a big deal, but it was just like, everybody kind of knew this was the main event, though. Like, there was no, like, maybe it's not, everybody fucking knew it. He announces the winner of this unification match, be it Rich Swann or Moose, will go on to Rebellion to compete in a title versus title match against the All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion of the World, Kenny by God Omega. And
from North Carolina Wrestling, whatever you want to call it. North. Yep.
Oh wow, you cut out there completely. All I heard was North, and that was it. And then we go back to Scott's office. Callis is there, goes on the phone and says it worked out exactly as planned, which seems to be the case
Yeah,
a lot lately.
it's fine. It works well. Do we want to do like our overalls and stuff on
Yeah,
each show?
we'll run through it right now. We'll do our news right after this though. What
Yeah,
did you give Impact out of a rating of 5?
I gave it a 3.5.
3.5, eh?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a solid show. It does exactly what it needs to. And especially because I watched this the night after I watched Raw, it is a league's better show than what Raw was. And to put it bluntly, I compared it right up against Raw, and I was like, "There's no chance. I can't put it in."
yes. So thankfully I had only given Raw 1.5. I gave Impact Wrestling this week a 3. I as well thought it was a really solid card.
Yeah,
Your match of the night.
Ace versus Bay.
Same. I thought they tore it down with the spot they were given. It was kind of in the middle of the show-ish, but it
Yeah.
still
It was
worked.
two young guys. I'm not 100% certain on Ace's age, but I know Bay is 25. So Ace somewhere around that area.
Ace Austin.
It was just the up and comers of this
24.
industry. There we go. The up and comers of this industry are showcasing what they can do.
But yeah, I think they absolutely killed it. Segment of the night.
I give it to the Violent by Design segment as well as the end segment.
So I gave it to the tag title contract signing plus the end. Like I said,
Fair.
the end was hella predictable, but it was still awesome getting the announcement of that unification, and then the winner gets to face Kenny, and I was like, this'll be cool.
Yeah. Sometimes knowing and getting exactly what you knew you were going to get is exactly what you want to happen.
Exactly. Performer of the night.
Scott D'Amore, Ace and Bay.
I love how you gave it to Demore again.
I have to.
I was going to, but I already felt bad for giving Omos the fucking performer of the night on Raw.
I don't
Um,
even feel bad doing that.
I
Like,
gave it to Chris Bay and Ace Austin myself.
yeah.
Um,
I
and
bet I know
then
your worst of the night.
guess
Swingers Palace.
that it's only one of them, but yes.
Mine's just Swingers Palace.
So I have Swingers Palace because I mean the last few weeks have been really good for it, and this week I was just like, this sucked. And the other one is I already said it, I believe, during the podcast. It just now knowing that it's an Impact Plus monthly thing, they're still hyping it up to feel similar to a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And once again, we're going into it with like, yeah, there's build, but I really don't give two shits about too much of the card.
Yeah. It's
Like
very
half
fair.
the card was made Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Like sure, the stories have had build up, but I'd much rather them have been like 2-3 weeks ago. Been like, hey, Myers and Edwards in a holds harmless and have build up to these two. I mean the fact that we're getting the fucking Decay and whatnot, like Decay and Reno Scum and shit like that. I'm like, it just
Yeah. A lot of it seemed kind of
meh.
tossed in, but I mean,
Yeah.
it was a good show overall.
Oh, it was. It was. I'm not taking away from it
No, for
one
sure.
bit. It's just I don't know. I don't know if these
Yeah.
monthly impact specials are really worth it.
Like, it makes
Cause
more sense, like, with was it Sacrifice or whatever? No, we're going into Sacrifice. It's the tournament one. Genesis?
Genesis.
that makes a lot more sense what it was now.
So
Um,
that's what worries me, though. We had Genesis and then Hard to Kill. We had No Surrender last month. We have Sacrifice this month. Do we get something the week before Rebellion? If it's
Probably.
monthly specials, I don't know if I like that.
Maybe it's not a monthly special. Maybe like there's
They've
month
done it
where
every month since
I get that, but what I'm saying is
October of
like
last year.
maybe they've been doing shows, but maybe some like they're gonna start doing other things as the monthly special, and like I don't know.
As long as they don't bring back the fucking one night onlys. Hey, we're dropping all this storyline that we've been building for weeks and weeks and weeks on TV, and we're just putting the guys together and they're best buddies. But like, don't worry about it because it's not canon.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Do you want
News.
to move on to the news then?
We're
Yeah.
gonna run news real quick. If you've got your one or two points that you have.
All right. So obviously, last time we talked about Asuka getting her teeth knocked out. This should have been reported along with it. Nobody seemed to be talking on it. It should be an assumption based on what the injury is.
I think we mentioned it. I think when we reported it, we reported this.
Yeah, we said she likely has a concussion. It is now being reported she has suffered a concussion.
Well,
That's
no
why we
duh. She
haven't seen
hasn't
her.
been on fucking TV. What the fuck do you think's going on?
Like when somebody lost their teeth before, aka Cesaro, he was on TV the next week. If I remember correctly. Maybe not for that one.
Actually, I think he was on the next week. I think you are accurate there.
Yeah. If not, he was on the next week after that. So, and that was one where it wasn't a kick to the head. So, this is a redundant thing that should have just been announced when it happened.
I hate how WWE half-ass tries to cover it up
Mm-hmm.
as well. I'm like, just be fucking up front and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
there was an injury.
It's like they're trying to report it later to make it seem like she got it in training or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
don't fucking pull that bullshit. No, no, no,
yeah.
no.
The more interesting news, this one broke this morning. Andrade requested his release from WWE on the Raw tapings this week. Um,
Yeah, that's wow.
Early reports are that they're entertaining the idea, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. Sucks for him because I mean everybody's dream is to obviously go to the WWE. The one thing I can think of is, man, if New Japan, Impact, AEW, any of them grab him up, oh, they just got a huge steal.
Well, I mean, he came from AAA.
So he could go back to AAA.
So and the best part is with everything kind of going on right now, AAA is working with AEW and with Impact and
For those who don't know, the AAA Mega Champion is one Kenny Omega.
yeah, I believe he is still the Mega Champ, isn't he?
They say it this week on Dynamite.
Did they? Okay, I must have missed that.
Yeah, when
Um,
Phoenix is wrestling, they go, Excalibur's like, yeah, and Phoenix is a former AAA champion held by Kenny Omega currently.
okay, I missed that. I just have some quick points here as I'm scrolling through. Backstage news on the title versus title match with Kenny Omega, at Rebellion. From the sounds of it, they one of the big things was people were wondering about Rebellion, about it being a potential unification of sorts. Um, there is nothing saying that. Um, right now there is no plan in place for post Rebellion. There is only the plan in place for the pay-per-view. They are currently looking at they are not looking to do what AAA has done, which is put
Okay.
like the title on Kenny and let him run it. Um let him run it on Dynamite in that, but they're also not looking for a double count out finish or a 60-minute time draw. I honestly, unless they, which we, I don't mean to be an ass, we know Swan's not getting it, but I'm gonna be pissed off if they, and this isn't because of it being Kenny Omega, it's just if they turn around and fuck the match over and don't have a proper finish to it, what was the fucking point?
No, this needs to be somebody needs to pick up both of these world titles for these two companies. I don't care what the finish after that goes, like how the person loses the title. They can lose it in shitty means for all I care.
Sure.
It needs to be somebody taking both titles. And I know it's not going to be Swan because they're trying to protect that lineage of the AEW championship. They want it to feel as prestigious as possible. And no offense to the Impact title, it could use somebody like Kenny Omega holding it.
What do you mean?
I'm not saying there's not former champions that have held that belt, but like the WWE championship, if Kenny Omega held it, that just elevates it that far much more. Like, and yes, I did say WWE. I didn't slip up my tongue there. If he were to hold the WWE championship, it would elevate it much farther than Roman or Bobby. Wow, I almost said Drew and Miz before I said the current champion.
Okay. Another thing here, Anthony Bowens of the Acclaimed. We reported back about a week or so ago. He apparently was out with a knee injury. He has supposedly undergone surgery to fix said knee injury. Um and they are reporting that he will be back in potentially 6 to 8 weeks. He posted on Twitter today, stating that for the last 4 months, he was basically wrestling with one leg, and he can't wait to get back full throttle.
Oh wow.
Which is really awesome. Yeah. Just trying to see here real quick. I don't know if we've mentioned, I know, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. Anna Jay, successfully underwent, shoulder surgery today, um, and is, on the road to recovery, as well as an up-and-comer from Dark. I believe she trained with Cody, in one of the recent camps at the Nightmare Factory. Brooke Havoc, who I have become a fan of, also underwent knee surgery, I think it was.
Okay.
She tore a bunch of shit in her knee, and she underwent that and is on the road to recovery. A lot of people getting surgery in that right now. Here's an interesting one. WWE running into issue trying to re-trademark Dean Ambrose. Did you hear about that?
Why are they wanting to re-trademark Dean Ambrose?
Well, the same reason they did Cody Rhodes and all that.
I guess, but it's not like they're ever gonna use Dean Ambrose ever. Like, I'm talking like AEW, like, and nobody's ever gonna refer to him as Dean Ambrose ever again. Even if he comes back to WWE, I highly doubt he'll be used as Dean Ambrose.
Oh, they'll put him back as Dean Ambrose. Of course
I
they
don't
will. Bro,
maybe,
fucking
but
they brought Chris Hero in, who Hero was a name on the indies at the time, but they brought him in, named him Cassius Ono, gave him a run, he left, he became a huge fucking star on the indies as Chris Hero again, and then they fucking brought him back as fucking Cassius Ono. Are you kidding
maybe.
me?
I just don't
Um,
ever see him going by that name ever again.
They're renaming everybody. I mean, Ben Carter, who was a signing to the NXT brand, they just announced his new name today. Like, but
What's
anyways,
Blake
yeah.
Christians?
Oh, well, it won't be that. Um, and with Christian Cage hopping over to AEW, I bet the name Christian isn't even used.
No.
But I find it interesting. I read it. So apparently, for these trademarks, for these names to go through. I don't know if this is a new thing because I had never heard of this. Apparently, Moxley has to sign off on it. Because apparently WWE has attempted to trademark the likes of Dominic Mysterio. Let me see if on this article there is a list.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, it's not on here. I know I saw it before. But they've previously tried to trademark other names, and they've had to have um the wrestlers sign off on it, and a lot of the wrestlers will not.
Good.
WWE, yeah, hold on.
Don't give them control over your name. If you're a wrestler that's listening to this, do not give them control of your name.
They have attempted to trademark Pete Dunne, Dominic Mysterio, Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, and many more.
All guys who are established names or their own legal names.
And each time so far, the wrestlers in question have not provided the consent for WWE to do it. I believe
Good.
Mercedes Martinez and Mia Yim also had this issue. And they both actually went through and trademarked their own names.
Good.
To
That's
save
what everyone should do.
themselves any kind of issue. Well, yeah, Jericho's gone out and said it, and I agree wholeheartedly. He was taught back in the day, and because people have been really confused. I mean, Jericho will say a line on Dynamite and it'll basically be trademarked in the next 24 hours. And Jericho's come out and been like, I was taught very early on in my career, if something is said, if something happens and there's any traction towards it, cover your ass.
Make sure you own it.
Yeah. And Jericho's done just that, and the thing is, it's paid the fuck off.
Well, he said a little bit of the bubbly because he lost the world title because somebody stole it from his limo, and it became the gimmick that brought that title up even further.
Like, only a few more here. Where the fuck was I? Oh, the numbers don't lie. The infamous Scott Steiner sacrifice promo. Okay, if you watch Impact on Twitch, you see it
It's
every
a regular
week.
appearance.
So this is just a fun note about it. That was one take. That was the only take.
You're surprised? No, because there's no way that there's two versions of that and they look at that one and go, that's the best one of these two.
Well, here's the thing. The first time watching it, you're like, that's great. The second time watching it, you're like, nice. The 55th time watching it or more, because I mean, I watched it a ton back in the day. The years that I didn't watch TNA, Impact, whatever, I would go back to that promo. I'd show that promo to people just to be like, here you go. The more and more you watch it, the more and more you enjoy it every time. It doesn't matter if they play it 3 times during Impact. Every time it's on, I turn the volume up to hear Scott Steiner give me Steiner math. But the fact that after you listen to it so many times and you listen to the shit he says, for them to be like, oh yeah, it was one take. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, well, my thing is I assume, because also when he's doing it, I'm like, nobody corpsed. And like, there is no way you have him standing there being like, I have like 130 some odd percent chance of, and all his fucking math and that. And there's no way you don't stand there and corpse a little bit, which for those of you who are not quite aware, corpsing is kind of just breaking, smiling when you're not supposed to and shit like that. You listen to it so many times, and there's so many aspects where you're like, you know, he couldn't have gotten this on the first try, or there's no way somebody didn't corpse it the first time, or something like that. And I read the thing, and they were like, yeah, the promo
Well,
was
yeah.
a single thing.
Well, it's a testament to the person he's working beside. And for those who don't know, Petey Williams, Canadian wrestling legend, the
Oh,
creator, if I'm not mistaken, of the Canadian Destroyer.
more than likely. You are not ready for this. You are not ready for this. You know, they say all men are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Samoa Joe, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50% chance of winning, but I'm a genetic freak and I'm not normal, so you got a 25% at best at beating me, and then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down. You see
That's exactly how he stumbles it too.
the three-way at Sacrifice, you got a 33 and 1/3 chance of winning, but I got a 66 and 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even gonna try. So Samoa Joe, you can take your 33 and 1/3 chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and 1/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning if we was to go one-on-one, and then you add the 66 and 2/3% chance, and I got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. See, Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Sacrifice. I fucking opened this article and they've got the whole motherfucking promo, and I'm like, I gotta cut this promo.
Yeah, it's a great line. It's a great
Fucking,
line.
that is one of the best goddamn promos ever.
So, any more news?
Last few things. The WrestleMania card, we are a month away, and the WrestleMania card is back to square one.
Does that mean we're not going to get Edge versus Roman Reigns?
I don't know. They have reportedly for most of the card gone back to square one.
Can
And
not
I
be
guess
Roman Reigns and
there
Edge now?
is panic.
They backed themselves into a corner. What the fuck else do they expect?
They have 30 fucking days to build Mania. That's it.
I mean, SmackDown makes perfect sense.
Basically the only other thing I want to add here, excuse me, is a bit of condolence. Becky Lynch announced the passing of her father this week. In a very, very sentimental post and whatnot. And I want to send sincerest of condolences out to Becky Lynch, her family, and whatnot. Definitely not an easy thing. And I just wanted to add that in there. But yeah, we'll move on here onto some more wrestling. There was no poll for Impact this week. I fucked up. I take the blame there. You cannot schedule polls on Twitter, which is a fun fact. And yeah, you can schedule everything else but polls. So yeah, I mean, as I told you, I was sitting there Tuesday night. It was about 7:00. I'm like, cool, got Impact soon. I don't throw on before the Impact until like 22. And so I was like, okay, like we got this. And I was working on stuff. And then I turned and looked up at the time, and it was 10:15. And I went, what the fuck? So I missed the poll. So,
but whatever.
But we'll move on to NXT. The only good WWE product.
Well, we'll not classify pay-per-view.
Even so, I would have watched this week's NXT over Elimination Chamber again, I think.
That's fair, but I'm still gonna give them the benefit of the doubt right now.
Yeah, no.
For now.
We open the show. We have Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Tony Storm, Io Shirai all arriving earlier in the day, setting up for the big title matches, and then we head off to...
Sorry.
What?
Tony time. It's Tony
Oh,
time.
sorry, you cut out again, so all I heard was like, ah! And I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Tony time.
Tony time. We head off to General Manager William Regal in the ring.
Wonder what he's gonna say.
And he has two groundbreaking announcements to make. The first of which, NXT TakeOver WrestleMania week will be 2 nights. TakeOver Stand and Deliver. The first night, Wednesday.
Stand. Second night, deliver.
Yep. Yeah. Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, live on USA. And then Thursday night, 8 o'clock, live on Peacock. Oh, there's going to be so much to cover that week.
Now, my question here is, they've announced this for the night of when an NXT is supposed to happen.
Well, it airs at 8. This is the NXT that week.
Or is NXT moving to Tuesday?
No, because we have the Hall of Fame on Tuesday.
But the thing is they could run Hall of Fame earlier in the day.
I think it's announced for 8 o'clock on Peacock, I think.
So then in that case, does that mean night 1 of Stand and Deliver is on USA then?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Okay,
night one airs 8 p.m. on USA. And then night 2 is on Peacock. So we know night 1 is the fucking... I don't mean to be an asshole here, but if you're on night 1, then you wouldn't have been on
NXT.
You wouldn't have been on the TakeOver card. The Thursday is technically the TakeOver.
And any person who has been on a TakeOver knows that. So your Adam Cole's, your Finn Balor's, your...
Can I just make a statement here? You realize we get Raw before Mania, we get the Hall of Fame, and then we get 2 nights of TakeOver, which means they're gonna do it, that much more than a normal NXT, which I'm okay with. And then we have to sit through a SmackDown in between before WrestleMania.
God damn it. And we even have AEW in the middle of that too, where
and
it's like
Impact.
We have a lot of good wrestling in the middle there, but it's sandwiched between Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, I don't know how. We'll discuss this off camera as we have already. That week is going to be so tough. And I can already tell you now, we will cover that week. We will cover the week right after. And then there's a good chance you don't see us until the following fucking weekend. Because that's going to be a long ass fucking 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's a lot of wrestling to catch up on and watch and make sure we're there for, especially with us having jobs and lives.
Yeah. I mean, not much of lives, but enough.
They exist. Enough for us to be apparent in our social circles.
Exactly. Got to make people know that we are still alive from time to time.
Much.
And then we focus on the ramp, female talent lining the ramp.
New singles title, right?
He brings Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez into the ring and says because of the fuckery last week, he is presenting them as the first ever NXT Women's Tag Team Champions.
Oh, and when he unveils them, it's got Dakota Kai's and Raquel Gonzalez's side plates. They're going to have a really long reign.
I know why they had Raquel's. which we find out
Yes.
later in the night.
Yes. But the thing is, they're on these titles, and we'll get into it later why I'm so annoyed right now.
I think they did it purely because if they weren't there, it was going to be a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
But the thing is, not really, because anytime they've else debuted a title, besides Shinsuke, they've not had the title side plates on them.
I don't know. Anyways, Kai and Gonzalez are just kind of like, yeah, we're that good. And then Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart come to the ring, and they're like, we beat our whole side of the bracket, and you guys got lucky at Takeover. So, like,
But does that not imply that that means every match they got lucky too? Because
yep.
they did get beaten. So does that just mean anytime somebody wins a match, it's just luck now?
Yeah, it's pure luck, man. There's nothing to do
Okay.
with skill anymore.
I get what
Um,
they mean. They just used luck in the wrong term.
yeah, and then Regal is just like, you make my job easy, sure. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. And then we
Um,
move on to a match that I'm disappointed is the start match, but at the same time, I'm not disappointed.
yeah. If you want to handle this, go ahead.
Okay. So we get Io Shirai versus Toni Storm for the NXT Women's Championship. Basically this match, I'm a little disappointed in the finish, I'll admit.
Yeah,
I really like, because I don't hate Shirai, but I think she's done what she needs to do with this title. And I would have loved to see even Tony be a transitional champion if that needs to be the case. But like, I just think we need to see new blood in this title picture.
which the thing is with what they set up later, because when this happened, I was like, okay, so we're back to we're in a very similar position to what AEW has backed themselves into with Hikaru Shida, where it's just
Exactly.
kind of like she's fucking beat like everyone
Hmm.
basically that she needs to beat. And but yeah, anyways, I think they set it up, but I won't get into that until we get into it
Oh
later.
yeah.
If you want to cover the finish of that
Yeah.
match.
The finish, and we've said this before recently, it was very Benoit heavy reference to me.
There was a strange amount,
Like, Storm goes for the flying headbutt, which I'm assuming is a move she does. I'm assuming that's something she does.
which I
Uh,
believe is the case.
but it, to me, every time I see it, I immediately think of Benoit. And so, as soon as Shirai moves, she goes into a crossface. And,
Yep.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, no, that's intentional. Like,
Yeah, that this was not a yeah.
and Storm taps, which is nice, but at the same time, I'm like, mm. Anyway, it was a good match. It was a really good match. I'm not taking anything away from it.
Yeah, they gave it. Shirai obviously retaining.
Yeah.
Promo with Balor backstage, hyping up the main event. LA Knight backstage,
Yeah.
with an interview.
He wants an open challenge against anyone. Bronson Reed comes in, just grabs him, they start brawling. Nothing really gets said about this until later, and I
Yeah.
don't have a note on it later, so I'm just gonna talk about it quickly now. They
Uh,
announced. Do you have a note on it?
oh, excuse me. Sorry, that was a big fucking yawn off my end.
Because it's just like a picture package that they show afterwards. So that's why I didn't write anything.
Yeah, I don't think I have it.
Okay. So they just kind of, so LA Knight here, he's like, I want somebody to face me next week. And it seems like the answer is Bronson Reed. He comes in and he fights him. We eventually get this picture that says LA Knight will wrestle next week. And the announcers go, I wonder if Bronson Reed's going to get involved. And I'm like, are you implying Bronson Reed isn't the challenger?
Yeah. Anyways, we get Jake Atlas versus Pete Dunne with Oney Lorcan and Denny Burch at ringside. Pete Dunne.
Sorry, Jake, your fingers are broken.
Yeah, Pete Dunne wins by submission, and then Pete cuts a promo, says he's the best, and tells someone to step up. Well, I hate to break it to you, Pete. You aren't the best. The best is technically supposed to be the world champion. I say technically because we have something like SmackDown. But,
And 3 under WWE's banner as well.
yeah. But the best is supposed to be the world champion. And I hate to break it to you, you had one of the best performances I've seen yet this year at Vengeance Day, but you aren't the best because you got beat by the best.
No matter how you fold it, we can say without question Kenny Omega is one of the best wrestlers in the world because he literally is. He's in that, what do we say, top 5 or 10 top promotions of world champions.
Yeah.
Like, you can't argue with that. Same with Finn. I guess we have to lump Reigns and Lashley into that. They haven't done bad. It's just I don't like Reigns. And Kota Ibushi. There's definitely more. Magnus. I can't remember his name now. NWA champion. Formerly Magnus.
Fuck. Nick Aldis.
Nick Aldis.
I got it. I knew it. I know professional wrestling. That is a reason why I am part of a professional wrestling podcast.
Hi, yeah, we run professional wrestling podcast. We don't know everything.
Pretty well. But yeah, I felt like when he cut the promo, I'm like, don't try and be like I'm the best when we technically know. And this isn't anything against Pete Dunne. He is absolutely one of the best wrestlers in the world. But you cannot come out on TV a few weeks after getting beat by the world champion and be like, I'm the best. Somebody step up. No.
Wait a minute. This happens twice. Because I called it out on one of my notes when somebody does this.
Oh, it happens again?
It must be on SmackDown.
Oh, fuck. Anyways, we have an Imperium promo to Thatcher. Says they're there for him. Basically, even if he has to bring Ciampa, they'll make it work.
I heard that and I'm like, Ciampa and Thatcher and Imperium?
Yeah, and then we get a Leon Ruff promo talking to Isaiah
Although we're
Scott.
told we're gonna get the women's tag first, and then
oh yeah, it's up next. Don't you know the gimmick here, Blake? It's one of our gimmicks that we do along with the best world title in the history of world titles, the 24/7 title. It's our up next bit. You know, this match
so
is
one of the top world champions is Bad Bunny.
Don't make me hate my own running gag on this show, Blake. Anyways, but yeah, so the women's tag titles match is up next, but before up next, we have Leon Ruff talking about Isaiah Swerve Scott. And I got to admit, I feel bad because I'm enjoying most of this card. I give no shits about this.
I don't give a fuck about this at all. Like, I don't care about Swerve. I don't care about Ruff. And it's nothing against these two guys. They've just given me nothing to care about.
Yeah, I could give fucking no shits about this whole program, but
yeah.
But finally, we get Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Good match.
For the first time ever, a women's tag title match under WWE's banner was a good match.
I don't want to say for the first time.
In a long time. How about since 2019?
Since the year they were debuted. I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause there might have been something
I would still
last
say
year,
this was a better match than that. No matter what
but
it is, and not being able to remember it, I still say that this is a better match because
yeah, cause I mean Bliss and Cross against Kabuki Warriors at Mania wasn't even. Yeah, from the look on your face, you forgot that happened.
Bliss is a former tag champion, isn't she?
Yes, I think multi-time tag champ to be exact.
Let's just
Um,
continue on.
but I do agree. It is one of the best in a very, very long time.
Yeah, and okay, as much as I am annoyed with this, what happens, it's still an amazing match.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree. Um, and so what happens, Blake?
Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart win the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, Shotzi pins Dakota Kai.
Yeah. For oh, well, I don't even really know what to say. How long was their title reign? An hour and a half?
Yeah, like I'm okay. So let me get this out here now. I am not bitching and complaining that Shotzi and Ember won. I
No.
am a-okay with it. But if this is what they
Hmm.
were gonna do, it should have just been we're introducing the titles.
And we're redoing the final of the Dusty Classic as it should have been awarded for the titles.
Yeah, yeah. You guys like Kai Gonzalez, you got your shot last week. You got screwed out of it. But because of that, we can't just hand you these title belts. You
Titles
know,
need to be won in
titles
the
need to be
wrestling
won.
world.
So it only makes sense that we run this match back
Hmm.
with this prize at stake. You guys will go down with your names on the Dusty Cup,
You
but
are the
you
Dusty Cup winners.
but you did lose last week. So this
Hmm.
is your chance to redeem yourself. I would
Yeah.
have been like, cool.
And then we could have had a decent like title feud until like not into takeover because obviously what they do here. But leading up to takeover, we could have had a little title feud.
Yep,
Like
I agree.
but no. They moved on a little. Like I'm not annoyed, like I said, that Ember and Shotzi won. I'm
No, I love
annoyed
Ember and
that
Shotzi.
yeah, I'm annoyed that the first champions will go down as less than an hour, probably, if we
You
actually really time it out.
you want to make the titles feel like fucking insignificant. Like that is how you do it, in my
It is.
opinion, at least in my books.
I've never looked at a title that has been quickly changed hands unless you point at Edge versus Cena after the Elimination Chamber. And that was Cena still held it for a long time there because I don't think he won it in that chamber. But the thing is like that's the only time where something like that makes sense, where it's like a person cashes in on the person who just won the title. Like anyway, we'll move on from that just because it's not really that important. It's just they should have booked it a bit differently.
Damn, I don't even have a time frame
No.
on that match from without doing a super big amount of digging just to look. um Shotzi Blackheart is the youngest to win the belt at 28, and Dakota Kai is the oldest at 32.
Okay.
That's interesting. I didn't know Kai was the oldest out of them.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
There isn't a NXT history design or up yet.
so anyways, moving on though, we get
Yeah.
an Adam Cole promo, uh basically just saying he determines when the Undisputed Era is dead and hypes up the match. Um and then we get this. So Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart are walking to the backstage. All the women are around applauding, whatnot. Then we pan over to Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, and Indy is booing. And I just chuckled. I'm like,
Oh,
Jesus
I loved this.
Christ.
Like, that was perfect.
And then we head over, Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory come in, and Austin's like, "Did you pay off the therapist?" And Johnny's like, "At least you know now." And he starts repeating what the therapist said, Loomis said, which I don't know if I believe. Uh,
yeah,
like,
I don't believe it either.
because of the way they're doing it. Um, Basically, Austin, can't dress. He's this, he's that. Austin gets pissed, rips off his shirt, and storms off.
Yep.
And then we get Caden Carter versus Xia Li with Boa and Tian Sha obviously watching on as per usual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much exactly what we expected this would be.
Casey makes her way out at one point.
Yeah, which is really awesome because it's not like we're writing Casey off of TV. It's more of she's just not able to compete.
Yep.
And as a Casey fan, I like that.
Yes, we are aware.
I don't care. I'm going to point it out every time.
But Casey ends up hitting Xia with the crutch to cause the DQ, and then they continue the attack. Boa comes in, blocks the shot with the crutch, breaks it, and then looks to Tian Sha. Tian Sha does the signal basically to like kill
Join
her.
the Dark Order.
Yeah, basically to kill her. And then Caden's like, "Fuck nah."
Yeah, pretty much.
Hits him with the crutch, and they're like,
And then she kind of grabs Casey and leaves.
yeah. And that's that. And then we get a promo from Jordan Devlin, basically saying he's coming back. Eh.
I was intrigued by this because I'm excited for it because we know he's gonna keep the title. Like that's inevitable. He's coming back next week. But my initial response when I saw this was like, oh, who is this? And then I had to think, I was like, okay, airport. He's got an accent. I was just thinking storyline, who is this, right? Because I don't know Devlin by his face. And they didn't until they had he had confirmed he was coming back to NXT. They hadn't put up his title, his nameplate, and whatever.
I don't know why we don't just leave him over in the UK and have him be the NXT UK Cruiserweight Champion.
Do they need an NXT UK Cruiserweight Champion?
Do they need a Cruiserweight Champion?
No, but we have it. Do we need two of them? Like,
sure. Why the hell not?
I mean, I'm not complaining because at the very least, Santos is going to get what he wants, somebody to face him. Oh, speaking of Santos, we get him yelling at Regal as Legado is going for the match. Like, hey, we got our match. And it's like, he just looks at them and goes, then go for your match. Like,
just before that, we have a Zoe Stark vignette, but yes. Yeah, I love that. They're like the match is happening, and he's like, cool.
Okay, I'm not in it. Like,
so, yeah, they head out. Grizzled Young Vets come out. Match doesn't get far in. And here comes what appears to be Breezango. And as they take the space helmets off, it's MSK.
Yeah.
And Legado picks up the win. Real quick win. And then MSK proceeds to take Grizzled Young Vets out with the helmets. Wesley smashes. I didn't catch which one of the Grizzled Young Vets it was, but smashes one of their hands on the steps with the helmet. Is it? Okay, thank you. And then Breezango show up in the ring and take out Legado. And then they all just kind of dance to finish off the segment.
And somebody's pockets got a little lighter in this segment. So when you mentioned Breezango got in the ring, Legado's all happy because they're like, oh, we're not getting attacked. And then, well, Breeze decides to hit a super kick, and I guess he
Tyler
forgot the new
Breeze.
rule. He forgot the new rule. No slapping your leg, man. I heard it loud and clear. Like,
Okay, so we're heading into it here, like, literally the next match.
mhm.
Okay, but you are telling me at no point did you notice in the main event
Not what
Finn
I
Balor
noticed.
or Adam fucking Cole, the dude who has become, and like this is no knock, the dude who has become synonymous with the thigh slap.
He
Neither of
didn't
them
hit a
did it.
single kick. He didn't hit a single kick in this match.
He hit a super kick at one point.
I don't remember him hitting a single super kick.
He also hit the what does he call the knee? What
But does
can't
a
even
knee
think.
count? Like, it's only for kicks, it says.
But he thigh slapped.
But the thing is, it specifies it's only for kicks.
The thing I read, it was thigh slaps in
Okay.
general.
I heard thigh slaps for kicks. So,
But even
but
Shawn Michaels has come out and been like, times have changed.
yeah, but
Like,
that's just it.
things evolve.
I didn't recognize any point where Cole and Balor had it. I recognized it immediately when it happened with Breeze and I don't even know
See,
which
I
one.
find it hard to believe there wasn't a single one, especially
Oh,
on
I'll
Cole's
go
part.
back and watch it. I'll go back and watch it and make sure, but I only noticed it on this one.
But yeah, if this is a legitimate thing that's happening, Breeze's pockets are definitely lighter.
Yeah.
We have Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez backstage talking about them losing, and it doesn't matter how long the title reign was, they'll always be the first. Shirai comes in, gets in Raquel's face, and Shirai's like, I want you next. And Raquel basically tells her, be careful what she wishes for. Which, as I mentioned earlier, this is obviously the big setup. Push Raquel as this top female performer. It's why she had the side plates. It makes sense. Dakota, not too sure, but
And it's not like they're going to be like, oh, well, they just didn't want to have her not have side plates and whatever. What's happening with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, motherfuckers? And if they go, well, what's your time frame?
no,
What was their time frame?
No, we don't talk about the main roster here. No.
My very valid
Stop
point
it.
here is, if their argument is it takes time to make side plates, why did Dakota and Raquel have it?
Because this has been planned since the Dusty Cup.
Do you think that they planned that far and ahead? So you're telling me they planned that Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler would have won the tag titles at the SummerSlam pre-show? Or not SummerSlam pre-show, I believe. It was a kickoff or something. I'll go double check right now. To have the blow off of that be this.
Oh, it didn't matter who was in that picture.
Oh, so it's just whoever the women's were, it was just gonna, this is exactly how it was gonna play out.
Correct.
Correct.
I know I wanted to do that too, but I was like, maybe not.
Sorry, the Rumble kickoff.
Granted, I've got no excuse as for the Nia Shayna plates.
Yeah, like
It's the main roster. Nobody fucking cares.
Correct.
Like, fuck.
All right, let's move on to a match that's good.
Oh, before we get that, we
But
have
next.
Timothy Thatcher backstage getting interviewed. Ciampa comes in And he says he isn't interested in joining Imperium. He
I would be.
knows that it's, either you're with them or against them. He's against them. He says he's interested in the General across the ocean there, which we all know who he is referring to, the Ring General Walter. And he basically says next week we get Toothless Timothy and Old Man Champa against Imperium. And
Which was the tag team, which would be the two that stand behind. I don't even know their names. So
yeah, we got we got Alexander Wolf, uh
Blondie
Fabian
McBlondie on the one side and Brownie
Fabian
McBrownhair on the other
something
side.
Walter and some other dude. I don't know. I don't know their names. I am terrible.
You did
Um
much better than I did because as soon as you said Alexander Wolf, I was like, oh yeah.
oh yeah, Alexander Wolf's in Imperium. Um Anyways, so we finally get Adam Cole versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship.
Cole has 1916 scouted. Like, the amount of times Balor goes for 1916 and Cole's just like, nah. Like,
Yeah, so an interesting point is made, and I wrote this down because I thought it was a really neat statistic. Adam Cole is wearing the gear that he wore when he won the title in 2019. Adam Cole is the longest reigning NXT champion with 403 days. Nobody else has held the title for more than 286 days. I thought that was an absolutely interesting statistic.
and they even said his title defense record, he has 15 title matches. He's 11th, 2-1 or something like that.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Like, he's won almost every single title match he has been in NXT. Like,
So, and this match is just very, very good.
honestly, I'd say talking about this match does it a disservice. It's one of those matches. You
Yeah,
just need to watch these two go at it.
yeah. At one point, they're outside the ring. Kyle O'Reilly is walking up to the barricade. Balor finally hits that 1916 on the outside. I almost called it Sunday Bloody Sunday because that was what it was in Japan. Um, he rolls him in, coup de grace, and that's that. Now I have an interesting note here. WWE is having a blast reusing this Thunderdome footage. You want to know why? It
Why?
just so happens to be the one fan I looked at. They have Balor's music playing, and they have the guy on the fucking their board doing the Jeff Hardy dance. And I'm like, and like it wasn't like, oh, maybe he was cheering. The motherfucker, I had the perfect shot of him, and he's sitting there doing and I'm like you guys are fucking kidding me, right?
They don't care.
Uh
They just don't care. They just use the I'm not even sure they're letting new people into the Thunderdome. I'm confident it is just reused after the
they
first 2 months.
they keep posting, hey, enter the Thunderdome here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how many people actually do make it into it or even attempt at this point?
Well, I
They
tried to
can
make it in
post
for
it
the
all they
very first
like.
show. I tried to make it in for the very first show. I got my call time for that very first SmackDown, and they missed my entire call time. Everybody that had my call time got fucked. So, there you
I just
go.
don't even want to bother with it anymore.
But
Especially because like
anyways,
your reactions are coached apparently.
yeah, from what I've heard.
It's not really a
Um
live audience then, is it?
nope. But yeah, basically that was just a fun little note. But Kyle O'Reilly gets in the ring. Adam Cole's kind of trying to talk his way out of Kyle kicking his ass. Cole swings for the low blow. O'Reilly blocks it, and the beatdown starts. They're going at it. Um, they
I
brawl.
knew you'd come.
They brawl around. O'Reilly ends up shoving the ref out of the way at one point to keep beating Cole down, and then he goes for the
Yeah.
brainbuster on the steps. I knew this wasn't happening, because of where the top steps were placed. But it was interesting. The refs kind of stop him, pull them apart a little bit, and then we go to Balor in the ring, and Balor goes, "What took you so long?" And I'm like, "What?" And then the camera pans, and here's fucking Karrion Kross standing in the ring, and I'm like, "Oh,
And one
okay."
thing I will say here, no wrestler is allowed to not know if a superstar just entered their ring in this pandemic now. Because Finn Balor, during a massive brawl,
Where and they have fans
yeah.
in the Capitol Wrestling Center.
And you can't say, oh, well, Balor just could expect that it was Cross. No, he heard him.
No, I've bitched on this podcast before about Impact Wrestling in an empty fucking studio, and guys who you can definitely hear in a ring sneaking up. No, Balor just completely fucking buried all of that and went, "Let's fucking cut the shit."
I heard you enter. What's up, man? Like, that's just what happened.
So,
Like,
anyways, moving on to our ratings here. What did you give out of 5 to NXT?
I gave it a 4.
Okay.
And I really don't think I need to justify it either. It's one of those ones where it's like, it's a 4, and if you argue with me, how? Like,
I gave it a 3.5. I agree. It was a good show.
it's the same thing. Like, if you're in the 3.5 to 4, it's almost identical. It's just where you decide to take away a few marks at that point.
Well, the thing is, you gave 3.5 to Impact. I gave 3. You gave 4 to NXT. I gave 3.5. Like, we're within the same average there.
Exactly.
Match of the night.
The main event.
So I have matches.
Yes, that's fair. I had to force myself down to 1.
But here's the thing. My matches are the title matches.
All of them?
Yeah.
Or just the 2?
Yeah, all 3.
Okay.
All 3. Obviously the main event being as good as it was. The women's match for something that we already half-assed got at a takeover and stuff like that. The match still felt really good. And I did give it the tag team title match because sure, the outcome was weird, but this was another instance where I was like, we've seen this match already, but they still did enough for me to look at it and go, I felt like I was watching it for probably the first time.
Yeah.
So I was happy with that. Segment of the night.
The Xia Li segment.
Okay.
Call me biased if you want to. I really like where that's going.
No, it's fair. I mean, it's definitely interesting. I gave mine to the close of the night because
That's fair. I kind of lumped that in with the main, like, that's why I said main event, because all of that was kind of one big thing for me.
Yeah, I really got a kick out of O'Reilly returning, having a really good beatdown. And then there was just something about the what took you so long. And I love the pause they gave. They didn't immediately be like, here's Cross. It was, what took you so long? And it was like a few seconds of like, what? And then it was like, here's Karrion Kross. And I was like, you fuckers did that great.
Yeah, and I made the little joke that I knew you'd come, because it's that joke, but serious.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%.
Like,
performer of the night.
Colin Balor, like, I can give it to more people, obviously, but I was just so impressed with them.
I gave it to the title matches.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I mean. I can give it to more people.
All these matches we have seen in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was watching every one for the first time. I enjoyed them from top to bottom, which surprised me. So
Absolutely.
I had to give credit where credit was due. And then I'm assuming we probably agree on our worst of the nights, but what is your worst?
The title reign.
Yep. Okay.
The title reign itself. I'm not mad that they were the first champions, but if you're gonna do that, make them have a week at least.
Yep. Yeah, should have made the match for next week, or just had the match without crowning champions or some shit.
Yep. But there were different ways they could have done that without him making new champions, because it just makes Kai and Gonzalez feel like chumps. Not chumps, but like it's really basically what it is. They got suckered into a title defense that they had no idea they could train for.
Yeah, pretty well.
Want to move on to Dynamite then? Oh, well, we have our poll.
Finding the poll as we speak. There we go. NXT Twitter poll, which I did post. 87.5% thought it was a great show. 12.5% thought it was a waste of time. So, obviously, people are pretty solid in their thoughts of the show. But yeah, we'll move on to AEW Dynamite, which I know personally for me has been my absolute favorite show of the week, including the pay-per-view in there.
Yeah.
So
because it was a really good show.
We opened the show with Rey Fenix against Matt Jackson. Pac and Nick are at ringside, and these two fucking kill it.
If anybody thinks Nick is the athletic member of the Young Bucks, they've never seen Matt in a singles match. And fair enough, he's really never been in a singles match.
Like, these two guys fucking killed it. And we had major reference SCU watching from the audience, which I'm totally okay with us building towards Bucks and SCU. Like that yes.
It's a parallel of the first defense SCU had. Because I'm pretty sure they defended against the Bucks the first time.
I think that was probably the first defense, first or second at least.
I know that SCU definitely defended against the Bucks, 100%.
Oh yes, guaranteed. But this match is fantastic, and Rey Fenix scores the win, which was fucking huge.
It came out of nowhere, and his finish to me is really kind of odd. It's the just knee into like his package power slam almost, and that gets the win.
Yep.
It's just a bit odd. It just doesn't feel like a finish to me, but I don't know.
Well, it was fucking solid though, one way or another.
Yeah, it was really good.
And then we get. So I saw a comment about this on Twitter, and I'm sorry.
I didn't see anything.
I'm sorry I don't have the person's name, but they said in the same amount of time that it would take you to watch a music video, they covered up and built a whole new storyline. I didn't finish my sentence there. They covered up the ending of the pay-per-view and built a whole new storyline that people automatically cared about in the same time that it takes to watch a music video. Mm-hmm. And I was like, son of a bitch, that is a fantastic comparison to think about. We have Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Kingston is like, I fucking passed out. Like, make fun of me if you want. I had fucking anxiety and stress. I went back to when I was in jail and they were telling me they were bringing me to Rikers. And I fucking passed out. And then they make the comment that Impact paid for the bomb, which I laughed.
Yeah. It was really, really good. And like Moxley's like, yeah, and you know what, Kenny, you might not be good at making exploding bombs, but you know, I did get a friend back out of this. So, or I think he says drinking partner, which
a drinking buddy, yeah.
Yeah, which is as good a friend as whatever Jon Moxley needs.
Yeah, so. These two, and the best part is they had such natural chemistry in it because Kingston is like, Mox is talking and Kingston is like making side comments where I think in any other promo, and I mean even on Dynamite, any other promo, I'd be like, shut the fuck up and let the other person cut the promo. But I'm sitting here and I'm just like, fucking Eddie Kingston is it works for him.
Yeah, and if anybody has an issue with him saying, "I was in jail and that's the reason I passed out due to stress," if you have any issue with that, say it to his face.
Yeah, I would not. They make the comment a lot. You know, you wouldn't want to meet somebody in a back alley. Kingston, I wouldn't want to meet in broad daylight in the middle of a packed street, let
I'm
alone in a dark alley.
Now, okay, that's entirely his character because I'd love to meet the guy,
Okay,
but his character, just to
so
preface for some people
oh,
who
I
don't.
would meet Eddie Kingston. I'd shake that fucker's hand. I'd tell him how damn good he is because he deserves to know it.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't want to be on the bad side because the worst part is his character parallels some form of reality. I can only assume.
Yes, very sure, for
Um,
sure, 100%.
but my point of the matter is this Eddie Kingston character as like regardless of how much it parallels his real self, I
Mhm.
wouldn't want to be in that situation is
Yeah.
basically it.
Yeah, and
Um
I just wanted people to basically know that we're acknowledging that we're not saying Kingston's like a murderer, we're just saying
oh
his
no,
character is terrifying.
I'd pay good money to meet Eddie Kingston. But next up we have Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson at ringside against Seth Gargis.
Rip Seth Gargis.
Cody picks up a quick win. Shkivo, Tony Schiavone, comes in with a
Did you see what
dud
Arn was
mic.
telling him? Arn told him the length of the match is a minute 20.
Really?
Yeah, Arn's like he looks at Tony and he goes, "How long do you think that was?" And Tony just kind of shrugs, and I just see him go minute 20. I was like,
Wow. Okay. Um so yeah, so they finally get a working mic in that. And this is an absolutely phenomenal segment.
yes.
We have Penta interrupting.
Coming from
He
Spanish commentary, which is
yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
Like,
And he has, I liked this, Alex Abrahantes, if you've watched BTE in that, he pulls him to translate. And one of the main things that is said, um, he says that he is 1,000 times better than Cody, and that if Cody wants to call himself the Prince of Pro Wrestling, then Penta is the Lord of Lucha Libre. And there's some back and forth, and this is like Penta talks some English to Cody in that. And then the absolute, and I'm amazed that they did this because they made me care about this in less than 15 seconds. Penta whispers to Alex, and
and it's
Alex,
definitely because his English wouldn't be perfect to deliver this line, which is fine.
exactly, it needed to be delivered properly.
Mhm.
And Alex says, Penta says he would hurt Cody's arm so bad that he would not be able to pick up his newborn baby girl. And let me tell you, that line was said. My jaw, and like this is what I love about pro wrestling, my jaw fucking fell. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy fuck, they went there. And Cody fucking rushing Penta, everybody just ripping them apart right away. Cody selling it, being pissed off. I was like, you fucking guys just took something I didn't know I wanted. And you were like, here you go.
My only point is, did we need to murder Gargis?
Sure.
Like, My thing is did this match need to exist before this, or could we have just done this as an interview segment? Does the match weight at all in what happened here?
Purely to show off that Cody's shoulder is okay enough to wrestle. That's all it was for. I can guarantee you.
Okay.
So was it necessary? 50-50. I don't think it was. I think if we just did an interview and then be like, how is your shoulder? And it'd be like, it's a little banged up from the pay-per-view, but I'll be back. And
Or
Penta
show
being
him
like,
training. Like, I would have said show him training a little bit and just been like, this is him the night after Revolution.
yeah,
You know?
something like that.
But
But
either way, it was still really good.
then we get Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. They basically challenge Miro and Kip to some kind of an arcade machine street fight type
The
match.
the best way I understood it was they're going to have arcade machines surrounding the ring. So it's gonna be an arcade machine lumberjack match. Is the
Exploding arcade machine death match. Got it. Cool.
okay.
That's
I
what
know
Kenny's match should have been.
I know AEW went a bit heavy-handed with the
Well,
what's it called?
they've obviously got leftover
Yeah.
explosives.
But I'm saying they went heavy-handed with the unsanctioned stuff when they first started doing it. I feel like that would be overdoing it if they just did 2 death matches back to back.
Nah, they're just trying to recreate CZW.
I don't even think
Anyways,
Moxley wants to recreate CZW.
um, but that's about the extent of this. And Chuck is basically just like, if we lose, I'll be your fucking servant forever.
I don't want that.
And
I
well,
want best friends to
I
just run
think we
amok
kind of know
forever.
where this is going. They're gonna split Miro and Kip, and Kip takes the pin in the match.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, but
I'm
I don't
fine.
know.
I just don't I wanna see best friends be best friends forever.
We have Shkivo again, Tony Schiavone,
He's everywhere, man.
welcoming Sting to the stage. Sting comes out, and Sting can't fucking say 2 words on national TV, because here comes Lance Archer and Jake Roberts. Archer says that if they're not gonna give him time, he's gonna take it, and that if things don't start to change, uh, he's gonna take more than just time. And he looks at Sting, and as they head out, I love how Jake Roberts is like, "Hey, Stinger," and I'm like, "Oh, oh, Granted, I don't know if I want to see Sting die to Lance Archer, but it just this we talked about, did Cody need to wrestle a match for us to get this Cody Penta segment? Did
Yeah.
we really need to have Sting come off of this great big win? I'm sorry. He just had a great big win, his first match since retiring, all this shit. And we just kind of buried him on live TV, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, no disrespect to Lance Archer, because I'm a huge Lance Archer fan. But did we have to bury Sting?
So Archer's gonna be the first one to beat Sting then, since his return.
I guess. But I don't know. It's just we
We
have
move on. Sorry, I'll let you do this, my bad.
no. You go right ahead.
We move on to QT and Shoddy, or not, yeah, Big Shoddy Lee Johnson talking backstage. QT literally avoids any question directed towards him, and just says basically Johnson's gonna win. That's basically how they they answer the questions.
Pretty well.
And then we get a little like promo package that says Ethan Page, they're getting the very annoyed person of him today, and that they don't want that, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, we get all ego Ethan Page versus big shotty Lee Johnson with QT Marshall at ringside. Pretty decent match for what it is. Ethan Page obviously picks up the win here. And then Page continues to attack Lee Johnson after, and QT just kind of stands there. Dustin comes out for the save, and QT walks away. And I'm just, in my opinion, I'm like, just fucking cut the cord here and just let it go. I have no interest in this. I
Adam
hate
Page
to
rides
be
around.
I hate to be
Okay.
a dick to QT
Yeah.
Marshall, but I'm like, I have no fucking care in the world that he's turning on Dustin and the Nightmare Family.
Yeah, it's really not that interesting.
Uh,
Adam Page rides around on a lawnmower.
oh fuck, man. Yeah, he rides around on a lawnmower.
He spent a lot of the money and he's donated a lot of it too.
Yeah, Dark
Which is
Order.
kind of a contrast to what happened on Dark or Being the Elite.
Yeah, because he said that he gave all the money in that, and
Yeah.
because the Dark Order spent. But anyways, watch Being the Elite to see that. But yeah, Dark Order comes in and Hangman's like, "Let's go get ice cream." They're like, "Okay." They all hop on except for Five, because fuck Five, and they almost
Poor
tip the
Five.
fucking lawnmower.
It wheelies. No, it's all good. It was just a power wheelie.
Is that it? Okay.
No, they totally didn't almost just kill 10 people. Like,
And now for one of okay, and I say that so heavily, one of the best segments of this show. We have Shivani on the mic, on the stage, ready to talk to Christian Cage. And here comes Kenny Omega's dancers.
the Sweeper Girls.
And here's Kenny Omega. And Don Callis. And the Good Brothers.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And,
okay.
And when Kenny's coming in, I even mentioned this to you, Pretty Platinum is just
Oh
glistening.
my god, it's fucking sparkling. It is making sure you fucking know it is there.
Yeah, and whether that's because it's on Kenny, it just looks that much better, or they shined it and made it freaking pop. It was absolutely glowing.
Yeah. So they come out and Callis talks about how the bomb went just as planned. Because either way, it was a win-win for them. On the one hand, they blow up Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, and they don't have to deal with them anymore. So that's a win. But on the other hand, they make them look like complete fucking fools. And that is also a win. And I'm sitting here going, you sons of bitches are covering your ass perfectly.
They did it on all ends of this story. Every single side, a bulletproof wall just went up to cover AEW's ass on this fucking finish.
Yeah, but we have Eddie Kingston come down, and Callis gets very real and very brutal with Kingston, talking about his time in Impact, and that just like every other time, he's gotten these big moments, these big chances, he's been right where he needs to be when he needs to be there, and Kingston screws it up.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell Kingston they're going to give him 10 seconds to leave the ring. And the timer comes up on the screen. The siren starts going off. And this leads to my favorite lines in pro wrestling history as of this moment. Kenny taking the mic and going, okay, north-south position, lays on the ground and goes, 69 me, Don, 69 me, and I
We
just,
gotta.
we talked about this before. When you have that laugh that you just can't help it and it like screams out of you. Kenny laying on the ground and shouting 69 me, Don. I screamed. It was so fantastic.
It was beautiful, and it was everything that I didn't realize I needed in wrestling.
Yeah.
And yeah, it brings a tear to your eye almost.
Yeah, but they get up, they're laughing and whatnot, and Omega offers Kingston one shot, but tells him he's not gonna take it and this and that. And this is how much I love Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston just kind of like looks towards the fans as well as the hard camera, and he just gives the fuck it shrug and just sucks Omega. And the brawl starts, obviously. Here comes John Moxley and whatnot. And then here's that oh so familiar music. And my favorite is JR being like, what the hell is that? And it's like, did you miss the pay-per-view? You can order the replay now on Fight.
I feel like Tony honestly said something along those lines, and I was just like, oh, Tony, he's just an old man.
Yeah, but here comes Christian Cage, which, even though I knew that's where the segment was going, the second the music started, I popped, because there's something about Christian Cage being in AEW that just made me fucking pop. But Cage comes out, Omega and Cage face to face. Omega offers his hand and then walks away. And Kenny kind of stands there, swings at Cage. Cage ducks it, goes for
Unprettier, kill switch, etc., etc.,
They didn't
etc.
say the name, so that's why I have kill switch on my notes.
I feel like in
But
Impact it
the
was the Unprettier.
Unprettier was used in Impact, but I also think the Unprettier was used when he was Christian in the early 2000s in WWE.
Well, yeah, before he would hit the switch, it was the Unprettier. And like I'm literally looking just quickly, I can see him calling it's called the Unprettier to Mark Henry, the Unprettier to Dolph Ziggler. Like it just seems like he only
So
has.
the kill switch was used in WWE. The Unprettier was used in the WWF, WWE, and TNA, and the Impaler was used in WWF.
Yes. I have a feeling he'd probably be able to get away with calling it the Impaler by now.
More than likely.
But I mean, even still, they could find a new name for it. Like,
That's neat.
hmm?
That's neat. Well, no, I'm on one of the fandom ones that they have stuff on here, and under his finishing moves there is that the frog splash, which was
Yeah.
used as a tribute to Eddie Guerrero, the one-man concerto used in hardcore matches, which was a thing to Edge and Christian, and then he used the spear from 2011 to 2014 as a tribute to Edge.
I do remember him using the spear
So
because he won his world
yeah,
title with that.
I know. I totally like forgot about it until now, and then when I read it, I was like, right. Oh, you know who we need to complete all this here? Tomko.
Oh, I could do one better.
He retired in 2016.
We could just do Scott D'Amore, the coach, from his debut at Genesis.
Holy fuck. Oh my god, I didn't know I needed this until now. But anyways, yes, he goes for the kill switch on Kenny Omega. Don Callis pulls him out, and we get one of the best visuals in a long time. Christian Cage holding Pretty Platinum, the AEW World Championship, and I stood there going, I did not realize how badly I need him to hold that title.
The one thing I'll note, in WWE, he never held the world title until he won it. He's now been a world champion. He doesn't care about stuff like that. He wants it.
Like, it was a
Just
very
something.
evident, like, this is what I want.
And
And
I have to go
he's
through you.
there to outwork everyone. I am so excited. Anyways,
Oh, yeah, I'm so happy.
up next we have Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Nyla Rose, and Maki Ito, one of my absolute favorites right now.
Does
Versus
she always come out singing?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is a regular thing. Against Thunder Rosa, Ryo Mizunami, and Hikaru Shida. And this is the best fucking... I got such a laugh out of this. I loved this. So we had Britt Baker come out, Nyla Rose come out, and then Maki Ito comes out for her performance, which on Twitter again, I saw a lot of mixed feelings for it, which, like I said, I understand that not everybody, especially us Western fans, if you're not into the Joshi stuff, it might not work for you. But I encourage people to check out Joshi Pro Wrestling because it is phenomenal. But anyways, Maki Ito comes out, starts her performance on the stage. Shida, Rosa, and Mizunami rush the ring to start brawling. And Maki Ito, like the professional she is, finishes her song as this fucking chaos is just fucking erupting. Maki Ito's on the stage just like, yeah, let's go.
Like, yeah, she's just singing her whatever song and just doing her thing. And I mean, more power to her. She looks like she's having a blast.
Wouldn't
Like,
you? Wouldn't you be having a fucking blast?
it's like if you were told you have to work the R-Truth gimmick for the rest of your life, I'd be fine with it because I'm on WWE TV. You know what I mean? Like,
But I fucking... One of my favorite things was the comment from commentary. JR, they promoted his book, and he goes, if I hadn't have been finished writing that book by now, this girl would have a chapter all of her own. And I'm like, yes.
okay, her finisher, the Kokeshi, does she just land on people? Like, because she goes for it, and it just looks like she's gonna fall over.
Yeah,
Is that all it is?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's
I don't-
supposed to be like a partial kind of like head buddy type thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not complaining. I enjoyed it. Like,
Ito-chan is fantastic, but anyways, um we have actually a really decent match here.
yeah, it was really
Um
good.
Also Rebel and Vicky Guerrero are ringside, Rebel with the crutch. Because
Rebel, not Rebel.
yes. It leads into post match, but Thunder Rosa picks up the pin over Maki Ito. Single tear runs down my face. And then the beatdown starts post match. Britt taking out Thunder Rosa, and that, which actually sets up to something huge next week, which we'll talk about right now. Actually, we get Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in not only the main event of Dynamite, but in a lights out, unsanctioned match. The first on Dynamite.
Do you know it's all been taped already?
Oh yeah, because they announced the tickets for the next show which is not this upcoming week, but the week after.
Mm-hmm. The St. Patrick's Day Slam has been recorded.
Yeah.
I've read spoilers. Nothing's been confirmed.
Yeah, it seems as if they when they pre-film there is no crowd in attendance, because I mean the only spoiler we got out of a few weeks ago was about a zip line being used, and it was said that Sting used it, and it turned out it wasn't even Sting.
This one was an in-depth word for word recaps of every single thing that I read through. The only match they didn't spoil was the main event.
Oh,
They were,
motherfuckers. If there's one match that I want to read ahead on to
yeah.
know, it's the main event.
The quote said, "This match I will not spoil for you. You have to watch it."
Fuck! I'm excited. I don't care. I'm excited. Britt Baker has immensely impressed me the last few weeks. After shitting on her for almost a full year, she has made me eat my fucking words, just like Nyla Rose. I am not
I'm
afraid
still
to
not a
admit
big
it
fan of
one
Nyla.
bit.
Still not a big fan of Nyla's.
But their in ring, from where they started and what I bitched about for almost a year, I mean, I fucking tore Britt Baker fucking uh, left, right, and center about. I mean, I'm like, you're fucking dating one of the best pro wrestlers in the world. Like, come
That
on.
doesn't make her a good wrestler, though.
You literally have one of the best pro wrestlers at your disposal to train with. There
I
is
know.
no excuse that you should be as green as she was.
It's fair. I do give benefit of the doubt knowing how I would be, especially even if I was in a relationship with fucking John Cena. Like,
Yeah, but at that case, you shouldn't be promoted as one of the company's top talent.
very fair. No, it's very
She
fair.
was
It's just,
promoted. She was the first signing, one of the biggest women signings. All this, and she was green as hell.
but it still was. She's come a long way for sure.
But yeah.
Uh,
Anyways, Matt Hardy, private party backstage,
the Hardy Party.
and he announces that he has signed Butcher, Blade, and Bunny to his empire, as he called it. I'm not sure how I feel about this going forward.
It's gonna push Private Party out of his group and turn them back face. That's all it's doing.
But I really don't want Butcher, Blade, and Bunny to get sucked into this. I want them to do their own thing.
The
Because I
thing is
really like that team.
I think Butcher, Blade, and Bunny are smart enough to leave Matt before, like whereas Private Party was kind of that green team that just is looking for help. I think Butcher, Blade, and Bunny are just gonna be like, no, this is kind of bullshit. Fuck you.
Well, I hope, because when I saw it was them, I was a tad bit disappointed because I am a big fan of them. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I'd rather just see them on their own, work their way, get the notice, and get those tag titles. If I'm being honest, no disrespect here to Matt Hardy, but I don't think, like, obviously the mentorship is already all, like, it's always good, and obviously we're talking in a kayfabe sense here, right? So in a kayfabe sense, I don't think they need Matt. I
no, it's very
honestly don't.
no. They definitely don't. But I can see why they want them because they want to give Private Party that rub, which is very fair.
But then we head off into one hell of a fight. Darby Allin and Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship. These two, we said it about Cole and Balor. They fucking kill it, and I can't do it justice. I don't know if you can, but I cannot.
I'm a little annoyed by the finish, just a little bit.
Okay.
I don't like that. I'm pretty sure he or Darby beat Cody via roll up, and now he's beaten Sky via roll up. Like I feel like Sky's so Sky turns heel right after this. After all this happens, I feel like Sky's heel turn would have felt so much better if he had just won the championship and been like, I'm the face of the revolution now, and stomp on Darby.
Um, so your issue with the finish.
Is the roll up, is the fact that it was a roll up mainly is my big issue. And then they could have changed the finish if they just didn't want to see Sky lose like cleanly.
The thing is, though, is that's another thing here that I want to point out with you saying that. It's similar to when we had the first time limit draw on Dynamite. We have become conditioned as pro wrestling fans for certain things to be a certain way. Something like a roll up, you go back, and they made a
Yeah,
very good point on commentary. A roll up is a very traditional wrestling move. You
it
lock the
is.
guy, you have them rolled up. It's not a weak move. If
No,
a roll up is locked and utilized properly, it gives you a win.
I know, I get that, but I'm not saying it's bad. It's just he won the title via that, and now his second defense, he wins via that.
Okay, so people need to start not getting rolled up by Darby Allin.
I don't know,
And
maybe,
as
yeah,
for
maybe.
as for
But the thing
Sky
is,
winning the title and then turning, I don't think it would have benefited him at all. I think where they're going with this, because it's been a very continual running thing of Sky kind of keeps getting these chances and it just keeps slipping through. He's not losing by a long shot. He's not getting his ass whooped. He is being an absolute competitor. It is being solid fights, and that big win, literally, it
well,
slips
he
through
had
the
Darby
fingers.
beat here. He had Darby beat.
So
He was setting up for the TKO, and Darby
yeah,
just flipped it into a roll, which
but
is
that's the thing. Building up into the story, they couldn't
yeah,
have changed the finish for Darby to pick up the win and turn Sky heel any better. And having Sky win the title
it's fair.
and turning him heel would have made absolutely zero sense going forward.
Maybe, but maybe it's just because at this point I don't see Darby continuing on as TNT champion. That's why I'm like, maybe just get the title off of him. But I don't know. I don't see Darby continuing on as champion much longer. I think he's going to lose it here within the next 2-3 weeks.
I could see him holding it for a while because I mean they're gonna build that mid card roster around people like
Right.
Darby Allin and Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Darby Allin is one of the most over guys right now in
Yeah.
that mid card division.
Right.
And it was the first name that they've given that title to a title to and taken a risk, which it's the truth. Because I mean,
No,
your
it is.
first
It's very
ever,
true.
your like, because I'm not gonna consider, um, in a sense, like the women's title, because not to sound like an ass, there hasn't been a whole lot of established women.
No.
So I'm not including that, but you look at your world title and it was Jericho, Moxley, and now Omega. Even your
Yeah.
tag belts, it was SCU, who have all been established in their own right in some way, shape, or form. And then you got Hangman and Kenny, FTR, and then the Bucks. All these titles, and then you look at the TNT title, and it was Cody and Brody.
Yeah. But my
These
point,
titles have all been center focused around people who have had a name. And this is the first legitimately, in my opinion, homegrown talent.
yeah,
And I think they're going to launch it to the moon in hopes of solidifying Darby as one of their first major homegrown talents.
that's fair. My point with it not being, or with him not being champion for much longer, is that I don't see the mid-card title being a title that's held for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of days. I see it being, you have the title, you do what you can with it. Like, it's a workhorse title. You're supposed to defend it week in, week out. So I feel like it makes sense for them to be shorter reigns. Not saying short reigns, but shorter
The thing is,
reigns.
if we're gonna put a long reign on anybody, it's gonna be Darby Allin,
That's
because we
fair.
know
I'm
what
just
Darby
yeah,
Allin will put his body through and
that's fair.
still be
I'm
able to
just
come
going
out
off
on
of
top.
Yeah, I'm just going off of what I picture this TNT title to be built like, and that's why I'm just like, I in no way take away from the finish of this match, just something that I'm like, they could have maybe done it differently.
The thing is if it ends up being literally the only title that we end up seeing pop around here, there, and everywhere in between, I'm gonna stop giving a shit about it.
No, and I'm
Like,
not saying it's gonna
very quickly.
but I'm just saying I don't see there ever being a year-long reign for the TNT Championship. Ever.
Well, I mean, the thing is though, if it's set up properly, there's no reason why not. But I mean, you can look at any title that way, in a
That's fair.
sense. There's a
That
lot
is
of
very
them,
fair.
unless they're set up properly.
Yeah.
I well, I mean, it's like the Young Bucks. I don't see the Young Bucks holding the belts through All Out.
No. No, and that's just it. Like, I'm in no way saying this is exclusive to Darby. I'm just saying the way I see the TNT Championship being built is that it's going to be this workhorse title. It gets defended 7 times in a 50-day reign or whatever, like it has the most defenses out of every title, but it also has the shortest reigns because of that.
The thing is, though, the only issue is they need somebody worthy of taking that title. And I say this with absolutely no disrespect to Scorpio Sky. Phenomenal competitor, phenomenal wrestler, like all around.
Yeah.
But I don't think right now Sky is the guy to do it. Sky will hold
No,
it.
and that's
Sky
fair.
Sky will be in the world title picture one day. But the thing is when Darby won that belt, Darby was on Dynamite. Darby was in the focus. Sky kind of came out of nowhere 2 weeks ago, was put in
Yeah.
this ladder match from only wrestling fucking 2 matches on Dark in the past fucking 2 months.
Yeah, no, it's very fair.
And then I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you put the title on him? Because 90% of the audience hasn't seen Sky for fucking 2 months.
No, and that's
And
fair.
so, but the worst
It's
part is
probably
there's a lot of people in that area that are the same way. It's like you could put the title on him, but he hasn't done enough to make
that's fair.
absolutely anybody care about it.
I was just thinking more along the lines of the way the heel turn worked, but I feel like it almost would have been a more prominent heel turn if he had had the title, but it can go either way.
Yeah. But we move on to what is probably one of the best things AEW has done in the year of 2021, in my opinion.
Mhm.
We have the Inner Circle War Council. So we have the
And
Inner
I
Circle.
I remember when we talked about this at Revolution when it got announced, and you kinda turned your nose up and you're like, "Ugh."
Well, I didn't believe they were kicking Jericho out, which I mean I was correct. And it's
Yeah.
funny, because I mean this predates the podcast. I predicted back at Full Gear, with friends that I had watched that pay-per-view with, when MJF won and was joining, I said specifically the storyline would be MJF turning the Inner Circle turning around and going, ha, fuck you, and MJF having something up his sleeve.
Yeah, it's very
The
fair.
the possibility was a team, or like
A bomb.
he was gonna write Jericho off but not break up the Inner Circle, like it'd be him to write Jericho off. It was gonna be some shit like that. I just
Yeah,
didn't know when or how.
and
And
here it is.
here they go. So they're
And
talking.
who as well.
Yeah. So they're talking, and Jericho makes a comment like they're talking about the war council and about how armies and teams need to regroup and refocus, and that's what these war councils are for, and that's what they're doing. And he says he thinks it's time for them to potentially add a new member. And Max turns around and goes, maybe it's time they let someone go. And then, wouldn't you fucking know, Sammy
Yeah.
fucking Guevara comes out. And he looks at Jericho and he's like, Chris, like, I understand. And Jericho's, just ripping him apart on the mic. And I liked how Sammy, without a care in the world, without a fear in his mind, got right into the ring and right up to Jericho. And he goes, like, listen, you need to see this. Sends it off to the screen. And we have footage of Sammy setting up a camera in the Inner Circle's locker room. It fast forwards, and there's the Inner Circle in there, so we're talking Santana, Ortiz, and Hager. MJF walks in, and he says that there's going to be a change in leadership, and that they're kicking Jericho out. Everybody's like, cool, and
Yeah.
they head back to the ring. And this is where it gets great. Max is like, this isn't the way I expected you to find out, but I guess this is how it's going to be. Get 'em,
Yeah.
boys. And the second I watched them start to walk towards Jericho, I was like, you motherfuckers. I know exactly where this is going, and I loved it. They get
Yeah.
right up to Jericho, and they all turn and look at Max. And Jericho makes, it's the point I made on the Revolution podcast. Jericho looks at him and goes, are you fucking serious? Like, you don't think we watch? You don't think we talk all the time? Like, we know what's going on. And it's great. Jericho gives a good shove to MJF, tells him he's fired from the Inner
Yeah.
Circle, that they're done.
And MJF starts crying.
Yeah, and Jericho lets him know they're going to give him a good old-fashioned Inner Circle beatdown. Max takes the mic, says he never wanted to take over the Inner Circle. He built his own. The lights go out, lights come on, and in the ring is FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, Sean Spears, Tully Blanchard, and Wardlow. And this beatdown ensues.
Yeah.
This was absolutely phenomenal. MJF was great in all this, just sitting on the top rope, watching the carnage. Them taking out Sammy. Now, I made a comment to you on a call that we had the other night, just talking about this. Somebody who's been in the business as long as Jericho, I think, would know to turn away from the hard camera when pulling out his blade from his wrist tape. But Jericho laid right in hard cam. Yeah, hard cam right on him, and you can see Jericho look down at his wrist tape, pull out the blade, and shove it in his pocket. And I'm like, oh, Chris.
Yeah.
But it's great. Max hits Jericho with the ring, and the bat. I really like Tully picking up the visual of Jericho crawling for the bat, them stepping on it, Tully grabbing it, kind of hitting the ropes with it, is great. And then they bring him up to the stage. Wardlow hoists Jericho up and power bombs him off the stage through tables. Which, at least they got their table situation figured out properly after the Matt Hardy situation.
Did you notice what was underneath it?
I didn't notice specifically what was there, but
A good 5 or a good foot inch or a good foot thick crash pad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, if you notice
yeah.
when the tables break, they only broke about that much down. And so he's laying in what looks like a U, whereas we're used to pretty much looking like a V if they get broken properly.
Yeah.
And there's a significant flat part where it's like, well, he's up higher, which is fine. I'm not mad about it.
You know what was really cool though? A neat tidbit that I noticed. Well, obviously the show finishes off with MJF's almost horseman-like stable.
Because I watched the spoilers, I can give you what I have been told is the name.
Okay, so spoiler warning, mute it. We won't stick on it. Mute the podcast now.
No, I have to find it
Oh, for
still. I
fuck's
have to
sakes.
remember.
I hope you're not muted because we don't have it because Blake is a fuckwad.
I apologize.
I have the name. Okay, say
I
it.
have
I
it.
don't have it.
I have it, but I don't. I just couldn't. I didn't want to say it and have the wrong name.
Oh,
So,
okay,
just
you
give
got
me
it?
1 second. I'm just finding the write-up for it now. Okay, I have it.
Okay. Mute now. Go
The
ahead.
Pinnacle.
The Pinnacle?
The Pinnacle.
It'll grow on me like the Inner Circle.
Yeah. It didn't sit right with me, but there's a promo that goes along with it, and I
Yeah.
imagine that
Well,
probably helps sell it.
when Jericho introduced the Inner Circle, I remember sitting there and going like, is this really the fucking name? And
Mhm.
now I'm sitting here like the Inner Circle. So that totally makes sense. I won't repeat it due to the spoiler there. Hopefully whoever muted it. But I mean, I can definitely see it being, it's cuz we're the top of the pro wrestling world. Like that's the
Yeah.
point of it.
Yeah,
Um
definitely. 100%.
but a nice little tidbit um here was when Jericho bladed, he had a good little amount of blood. Like there was definitely some blood and that they bring him up, and what's really cool is we get one good shot just before the power bomb. Just before he gets set up, and he's still just got that little trickle basically. Wardlow then flips him up into the power bomb, and just that motion and the way Jericho's body reacted, he pumped blood, and because it's just the body's reaction,
Well,
he
because gravity takes effect, it's a liquid,
yeah,
like
he swings up, gets power bombed, and they get like an immediate shot of him, and he went from having this little trickle down his face to he's got an insane amount of blood in like 10 seconds, and I'm
yeah.
like, that's fucking neat.
Yeah, it's just physics, man.
But yeah, they stand tall, which is really awesome. What did you give Dynamite a rating out of 5?
4.25, a little bit higher than NXT.
Okay. Okay. Um I gave it a 4.75. I gave it a near perfect.
That's very fair. I couldn't
I
quite give it a perfect because there were just like I said, I had a couple issues with like the Cody match and certain things, but they're probably more just me being weird.
I thought it was a near perfect card.
Mhm.
Um what is your match of the night?
The TNT Championship.
So I gave it to the opening between Phoenix and Matt. I gave it to the TNT title, and I also gave it to the 6-woman tag. All 3 matches, I sat there like, yeah, okay, like let's do this.
Yeah, very fair.
Um, segment of the night.
The Inner Circle War Council.
So I gave it to the War Council as well as the Kenny Kingston Christian Cage debacle, I guess.
Yeah, the world title mess.
Um, like it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
Performer of the night.
I gave it to a lot of people. I gave it to Darby. I gave it to Sky. I gave it to Guevara. I gave it to Jericho. I gave it to MJF.
So I sat here and I copped out here. I don't care if this, I mean, I shit as much as I could on Monday about Revolution on the podcast, very vocally about it.
hmm
And I don't care. I'm pulling my AEW card back out here now. I sat here and scrolled through everybody on this card top to bottom multiple times. And I'm like, how the fuck do I pick somebody? I gave it to just about anybody who had an important role on the card. Because
That's
from
rude to
top,
disclude Tony Schiavone. That's so mean,
are you
man.
fucking kidding me? Shivani's at the top of that motherfucking list. If I can fucking give it to Omos and you can give it to Scott D'Amore, Tony Schiavone fucking deserves God. I've already
Are you
given it
telling
to
me Scott
Alex
D'Amore
Marvez.
doesn't deserve it?
No, Scott D'Amore totally deserves it, but no, I gave it to like as many people on the card as I theoretically could, because top to bottom it was fucking great. Um what's your worst of the night?
Cody's match. The match only. Only the match.
Just kind of felt pointless in there. I
It,
totally
it
get
didn't
that.
need to exist. It didn't need to exist.
My worst of the night is that this fucking 2-hour Dynamite was better than the Sunday pay-per-view I paid $60 for.
Would you like to know something really interesting about that said Sunday pay-per-view?
It was one
The
of the
top,
highest pay-per-view buy rates, I know that.
not just one of, it was the highest non-WWE profit pay-per-view since 1999.
Holy fuck. That's crazy. That's crazy. And this Twitter poll is one damn easy Twitter poll to tell. 100% great show.
Yeah.
I kid you fucking not.
And if anybody's like, oh, well, it's just because AEW, everybody's their AEW. I'm sorry, did you not hear all of our complaining for the Sunday for the dud and all that?
Oh my god, I
We,
shit on it as much as I could. I did. I
yeah,
openly for fucking 40 minutes. Me and you debated back and forth, and I shat as much as I could on parts of that pay-per-view because it, as I said, these pay-per-views are supposed to be top caliber, and the pay-per-view didn't quite meet it in my opinion. It still doesn't. I mean, that's not what we're here to debate. We had that whole podcast to do that, but I shit as much as I could on AEW in that podcast for their pay-per-view. I'm allowed to pull my card here and be like, this show deserves a near perfect in my opinion.
yeah, it's very fair. And can we move on to, well, I guess we don't want to move on, but let's move on to what isn't a perfect show.
Well, you can cover this top to bottom because I missed it, thank God.
We'll move through this quickly because we've spent so much time shitting on SmackDown. I don't plan on hanging up too much on this.
You go right ahead. I will sit here, listen to these results, and be just as shocked as anybody who hasn't seen it so far.
So we get Edge opening the show. He talks about Bryan and Reigns.
Holy shit. So we actually see the Royal Rumble winner.
Yeah,
In
it's
the
been a
ring?
week.
In the ring?
Yeah, came
Holy
out.
fuck.
Music and everything, the whole 9 yards.
Bruce Pritchard had a 5-hour energy.
Yeah.
He got some spunk in him.
Just wait until I tell you when we actually see Roman. Paul, so
I just died a little on the inside.
says Paul and Roman wanted this match, so he gave it to them. And now they're worried. Now they're backpedaling. Now they're like, hey, don't pick me. Exactly what we had picked out with Reigns last week. Bryan comes out saying like, no, it's I didn't interrupt you, or I didn't try to steal your spotlight, basically. It was all entirely for me because this could be my last Mania. Whatever. My immediate thought is we're not gonna get the Fastlane title match. Because I hate WWE's booking. Anyway, we get Edge and Bryan basically kind of face to face, and after everything Bryan said, he was like, "I feel I'm the best." Pretty much was his shtick at the end, and Edge just kind of goes, "You are good, but you're not better than me," and walks out.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Don't mean
and
to be
then
a dick, but agreed.
it's very fair. Then we get a 8-man tag team match. the Street Profits and Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus Alpha Academy and Robert and Dolph Ziggler. Robert
Hey,
Roode and Dolph Ziggler.
here's two fucking storylines we really just don't care about. Here's an 8-man tag match to settle it.
You think something gets settled here?
No, because it's fucking Bruce Pritchard in the corner going hoo 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 with a fucking clipboard.
Exactly.
Not sorry anymore, Bruce. I've given you
No.
enough fucking chances.
This match basically dissolves into Rey and Dominic versus the Alpha Academy and Street Profits versus Roode and Ziggler.
Oh, who would have fucking guessed?
The finish comes after Rey and Dominic hit the 619 on Ziggler, and then we get Ford hitting the frog splash for the win. It's exactly what you would think happened. We then get Jey Uso walking up to Roman Reigns' room, and he's stopped by Paul Heyman.
Okay.
And this is kind of like so you know how Paul and Jey act around Reigns?
Yes.
They are still acting that way. So, he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna go talk to him, whatever." And Paul just kind of says, "You know, that wouldn't be a good idea considering you tapped out last week." And yeah, basically he just goes, "Oh, I'll go deal with some stuff. It's okay." Yeah, walks away.
Okay.
It's basically how it happened. We get Seth Rollins talking backstage. He talks about Cesaro. He's told that he says Cesaro is the biggest waste of potential in the WWE. Yeah. And then he's told that Murphy and Cesaro have a rematch tonight because we needed that.
Yeah, we just got it, so we need another one.
Yeah, and so Seth looks, I want to say interested, but he kind of has that like shit-eating grin.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler go shopping with Reginald.
Fuck my life. Left, right, upside down, from behind, in the mouth, everything in between. I hate covering WWE's programming. I am so fucking tired of this stupid motherfucking bullshit.
And it's not like it just lasts like, oh, they just go shopping and then it kind of cuts. No, we get like 10 costume changes for Reginald and he's doing a full fashion runway thing while Shayna's sitting there on her phone.
I do not care about that rant I just went on. I am fucking done.
Oh,
They took up time on a fucking SmackDown. They do not have a solid WrestleMania card yet. You could have fucking built some badass shit. And you I'm so angry.
Well, how do you want me to repay you? And she just grins like the Cheshire Cat. And then we get Cesaro versus Murphy. So do you think this match was A, the same match as last week, B, a quick match, or C, completely and almost immediately interrupted by Seth Rollins? If you picked C, you're right.
I was gonna say D, all of the above. Like, I mean, obviously it couldn't necessarily be, but I could totally see it being like the same progressive moves. It being quick because Rollins got involved.
So Cesaro, they basically do like a few big moves at the start, and then Murphy jumps off of the top rope in a drop kick, but instead of a drop kick, he just kind of hands his legs to Cesaro so he can swing them. It's almost exactly what you are probably imagining. And then as the swing's starting, who else but Seth comes in and destroys the whole thing. By the way, he did almost exactly what a TJP did and just sat on the ring sat at the stage with a steel chair, watching.
Okay, so did Rollins get involved?
Yeah, as soon as the swing started.
Okay. Did he hit a super kick?
No,
Okay.
he
Cause
hit the
cause you
stomp.
you pointed out about Breeze with the thigh slap, and Rollins is another one where
Yeah,
his super kicks are are probably one of the most evident, because even for the small super kicks where you don't need a sound effect to register, he does the little
yeah. He
forearm. That's why I
he's
was like, mm,
it seemed strictly like he was doing the stomp. He did it twice, I think, and that was pretty much the only move he did besides punching.
okay.
Um, and then basically it's just he beats on Cesaro, and I'm like, this is gonna be them in a last man standing match, because the whole time Seth is like, yeah, how's it feel to not stand now? I'm like, oh, so you guys are doing a last man standing match at Fastlane. Um,
Fuck.
guess who stops Seth Rollins?
No.
Jamie Noble. Obviously, it's not like supposed to be Jamie Noble, but he's the one that's like in the security that does it. Like,
Oh my god, my heart. Oh my god, you almost just killed me.
but so
This is
now,
live. This is live. This is on VOD for
okay,
everybody to see. If I die from a heart condition, that was the initial start of it.
okay, so we've just set up Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, right? Who does Seth Rollins come face to face to at the back curtain when they come back to Gorilla?
Dominic and Rey Mysterio.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Why? Why? No.
Nothing gets said. They just stand face to face and then it cuts. Sami Zayn talks to Kevin Owens. Blake Christian is not one of the cameramen tonight.
Okay.
But do you want to know something really interesting? They replaced the ginger with Christian. That was the only reason it was Christian, is because the consistent cameraman that they had was a ginger.
Okay.
This just kind of is basically like Sammy's like, hey, do you want to be in my documentary? And Kevin's like, no.
Go and fuck yourself.
Pretty much. We get announced that we're gonna get the celebration for Bobby's title win. We're gonna get it, but we're not.
I love your confidence in WWE's fucking chimpanzee booking team of Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah. Speaking of, Jey Uso talks to Edge backstage.
Oh fuck my life.
Edge is like, hey Jay, I think you're being disrespected by Roman. Like, what would Rikishi think?
Oh, don't
Uh,
bring the big quiche into this.
like he didn't specify Rikishi, but he said your dad, and so
Okay, I was gonna say don't bring the big quiche into this, because then we're gonna get fucking a dance off at Fastlane between
he,
Rikishi and Edge.
he did, however, name drop Alpha and Sika specifically. Um, and then basically he's just like, your family wouldn't like the way you're being treated. And Jay gets mad and is like, no, Oos, you wouldn't know what you're talking about. Oos, 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 Oos. That's pretty
Oh
much
my
all I
god,
got from
I cannot stand Jay's promo, because it's just him yelling, and it's like trying to understand, and I don't say this to be a
Oh,
jackass. It's like when you're trying to understand like another language, like something like Japanese, and for some reason in every sentence the only thing you can pick out is chan or san, like when they're ending
yeah,
a name or something.
yeah,
That is all I get from Jey Uso's promos are oos, 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 oos. And I'm like, what the fuck did I just listen to?
yeah. Uh,
I'm just being honest. I don't like the hands rubbing together. What?
It's the Kevin Owens show
Oh, okay. I'm okay with this. I like Kevin Owens. I'm a fan
with
of Kevin.
special guests Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair.
Okay, you just killed my interest. Hold on. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Reginald's not involved with this story anymore. Fuck yourself. Do not. Blake? Do not tell me what I think you're about to tell me.
I'm not about to. It takes a minute to get there.
Oh, fuck my life.
So Kevin Owens is basically like, oh, if you guys go on to Mania as tag champions, you'll be the only people to do that since Shawn Michaels and John Cena. That was they wanted to make sure they slid that comparison in.
Hold on.
Um,
Michaels and Cena were still tag champs?
yeah, Michaels came down with the tag title. Yeah, when Cena comes through the glass, they're still tag
Well,
champions.
yeah, that's Mania 23. That's Detroit.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
one of my favorite all-time WrestleManias. They
Yep.
were still tag champs.
Yeah, they were still the tag champions. Cena doesn't come out with the tag title, but I'm 90% sure Shawn Michaels does.
I don't remember Shawn Michaels coming out with the title.
He's got the red thing, so it's covered by the gear that he's wearing, as far as I remember.
Well, because he was wearing the DX gear up until that match. Because Hunter had gotten injured earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I think that's a photo, and it doesn't look like he's got the tag belt on him.
Okay, well, yeah, but they are still the tag champs.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like. I mean, if they said it tonight, then obviously that's the case. But I just in my head am sitting here like Shawn Michaels and John Cena. Like I remember them winning the tag titles. I remember absolutely all of that.
And he's not saying it's like the first ones to compete for the championship and be and tag champions. It's the first ones to do it at Mania and be tag champions. So, because obviously we've had Batista and Cena do it too.
Mania 23 only had 1.2 million buys.
It wouldn't if they redid it. Like as in like if they like completely just resold it right now, it would go way better probably.
That amazes me that that's it.
Yeah. Sasha compares herself to Jordan and then makes a shot to say like if she's Jordan, Belair's LeBron, and in no way is that a bad thing.
Okay.
And then Banks will come out of Mania. She either said Mania or Fastlane. It was just I didn't care enough to really pay attention that much. She'll be two belts back Banks because of course.
Sure.
Jax and Baszler come out. Obviously, Reginald's tailing. The commentators go, they are not Sasha's and Belair's opponents tonight. This is the first I'm hearing of this being a tag match because we're doing the Kevin Owens show. Who comes out next, Natalya and Tamina? Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair versus Natalya and Tamina are up next. This match is not needed in the slightest. Belair, the finish is, the focus is on Reginald's clothes. He is standing up on the announce table, strutting, walking, and Jax is talking about that the whole time. Baszler is getting pissed off and saying, can we please talk about the match which features our challengers?
Yes, please.
That never happens. Sasha decides that instead of just letting Reginald be a clown on the outside, she's going to get up on the announce table too and yell at him. And so then he gets in the ring, and then she gets in the ring, and then he goes out of the ring, and then she's pushed out of the ring, and then Tamina rolls up Belair for the win. And then Belair is mad because she never loses. She said that. She never loses. Now, in the ring, I can see one woman who's beaten her for a specific title in NXT multiple times. I remember I commented on something else that this happened. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
They just argue into the backstage after the commercial. It's basically, oh my god, Banks blames Belair and Belair blames Banks. Yeah, Banks. I thought I was saying the same names there twice. Anyway, Big E's returning from injury. And he goes, as I lay in the medical facility.
Yeah, because we can't say hospital. Always remember
Yeah.
that.
I thought he was entirely joking through this. Like, I thought he was doing his Big E kind of joke character, blah, blah, blah. No. He's being deadpan serious the whole time. And I couldn't follow this promo. He's like, Apollo crossed the Rubicon. He's beaten. He can't put the genie back in the bottle, and now he has to go Old Testament on him. And I'm like, what? Anyway, he continues on, and he's like, Apollo doesn't answer the challenge, and so he goes, if you're not gonna accept your challenge that you want your IC title match, I'm just gonna give it to somebody else. Guess.
I don't have anything.
Baron Corbin comes out. He's in a suit and his crown. He is in a suit and his crown. Why the fuck are you? Anyway, and so he doesn't even make it to the ring. Sami Zayn comes out. So before Baron Corbin can be like, well, I'll take the match, we just hear over the broadcast, I'll accept, I accept. Basically, how Big E handles this, and he goes, whoever gets in the ring first, you have the match. Zayn just sprints to the ring. This match is almost exactly what you would think it is. It is just so that way Sami Zayn's documentary has a finish, and that he's now had his rematch for his IC title. Because Sami was making a point of saying that it is going to be posted on all social medias, and so it's almost done from what I can understand. And then basically we get the big ending. Big E wins. Apollo jumps Big E, and then just tosses the steps at him and stands on top of the steps. It's great.
I
Jackson,
love the seriousness in your voice there.
yeah. Jackson Reginald talk backstage. Reggie asks Jack, or says to Jax, you should be the SmackDown Women's Champion next week. Nothing more comes of this. And this is 15 minutes before SmackDown finishes. Dun, dun, dun. We almost made it the whole show. We were this close. We were this fucking close. It's time for the WWE Championship Universal Championship contract signing for Fastlane.
Oh, yes. Yes, because contracts. You'd assume after how many years of contract signings, somebody would get the fucking idea that they just don't work out.
So we get, obviously, the chair's in the wrong position for Roman. So he's got to move it to the head of the table. So he sits at the head of the table, and then I'm going to grab the mic, and I'm going to do exactly what Reigns did. You don't want this. You don't want to do this. Are you sure this is what you want, Brian?
You doing that legitimately angered. If anybody, the audio listeners aren't gonna get this. Anybody watching this or watching the VOD, I am slouched over in my chair because I'm so disgusted by every result that I'm just not putting the effort into staying upright because my body doesn't care.
Yeah, it's so bad. my immediate reaction is shut the fuck up and sign the fucking contract. Brian starts laughing, grabs the contract, signs it. He goes, "Well, I'm excited for this. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I'm so ready for this. Like,
I'm so
just
ready.
I don't think you're ready, Daniel." Uh, Basically, he goads Reigns into signing it. He goes, "I didn't think Roman would be scared of facing me, but I guess this is where we're at. Maybe I'm the new head of the table. I mean, I did make Jay tap out, which is something Roman couldn't do." Because if you remember, there was an I Quit match.
Yep. Wow. Okay.
Jay's the one that takes offense to this.
No, really.
Yeah, so he picks up the table, the like metal table that it is now, I guess instead. He tosses it across the into like the barricade on hard camera. And he
Well,
yells.
yeah, of course. It's a contract signing.
Yeah, you gotta have what's it called? Aggression. And he yells at Adam that he wants to be the special enforcer for this match. Now the issue here is the contract's been signed. The match is official. It's a TLC match from what I can remember, or is it just a straight singles match? I vaguely heard somebody say something about a TLC, and I was like, "What?"
No. 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 No.
But
No.
anyway, he's mad, and he wants to be the special enforcer for this
It's a
match.
singles
Okay,
match.
I vaguely heard somebody say TLC, and so I didn't really put too much weight behind that.
That is
Anyway,
the second stopping of my heart today. Thank you.
uh, a- and then Edge comes out.
Okay.
And he goes, "Well, how about this, Jay? How about Jey Uso versus Edge next week to decide the special enforcer for the Universal Championship match?"
Okay.
Again, the contract's already been signed by both competitors of the match, and both competitors of the match have not said a single word about what is happening here.
So
Oh, it results into a big brawl where they beat on Jay, send him out of the ring, and then beat on Roman. And then Edge tosses Bryan, and which of course sends him into the corner, which sets up Bryan for his big knee, lays Edge out. So clearly Bryan's not winning at Fastlane. My
um
overall for this show is a 2 because I didn't think it was worse than Raw, but at the same time, the
I
match of the night, I gave it to the 8-man tag because it was the first match, and at the very least, it wasn't horrible. Um, the segments, I gave it to 2 of them. I gave it to Edge, the opening and closing. And then I gave the wrestler of the night, Edge, Bryan, and Roman for actually only appearing on the show once and not really doing a whole lot besides pissing me off with the way he speaks.
I am
Um,
going to hold the fact that you gave performer of the night to Roman Reigns
Oh,
over you.
it is entirely ironic. It is not for the fact that he was there. It is entirely ironic that he is on that list.
It's oh wow, I just hit my mic. So it is very similar to how the Raw after Chamber I gave performer of the night to Drew McIntyre for
Yes.
not showing up on the show.
It is in very much that same line of Reigns did so little on this show that I was so happy. The worst of the night by far was the women's tag title picture / world title picture. Because they're one and the same.
Oh
Can we
god.
please just talk about sacrifice now? Because I just need to bleach my brain.
As of
Or I
right
actually,
now, the current poll for SmackDown on our Twitter is 66.7% saying it's a waste of time, 33.3% sitting on the fence, which, if you can do your math real quick there, that leaves 0% thinking it was a good show. That poll is still open for just around another 19 to 20 hours or so. So go over to our Twitter at Walking the Ropes and give that a vote and let us know what you thought. And if the polls change much more by the time we do our next show, we will mention it.
I don't see that happening, but yeah, we'll mention it.
Sacrifice. Okay. We'll run through the card here, give our predictions, and then we'll wrap this show up because it's another long show. First one I see here, intergender tag team match, Havoc and Nevaeh versus Tennille Dashwood and Kaleb with a K.
What's the intergender on the other side?
It's purely because Kaleb's in it. That's what makes it intergender.
And we can't just say Caleb's a girl for this match.
No. Well, the thing is, it'd be a mixed tag team if there was a male on the other side, but there isn't.
So is that what classifies intergenders if it just has one more of like, I guess?
Yeah,
both
so a male versus a female is an intergender. So as if the male will be fighting the female, it is intergender.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's assuming we're gonna see Kaleb do anything of action against Havoc or Nevaeh.
I'm just stating what the fact is there.
I know, I just have to
I
laugh.
really don't know, and I'm not sure I care which way this goes, because if Havoc and Nevaeh win, we can't put them back in the title picture, because they just lost clean twice, basically, to Fire and Flava. So unless we're setting them up to face Jazz and Grace, and then if we give Tennille the win,
But
what
they
the fuck
beat
does
Jazz
it
and
do
Grace to get
there?
into the tournament. They Havoc and Nevaeh beat Jazz and Grace to advance in the tournament.
Okay, so I'm gonna give the match to Havoc and Nevaeh because of a prediction for later in the night. Who do you
Yeah.
give it to?
I have to give it to Havoc and Nevaeh because I can't see the heels winning this. Like,
Okay. Um, moving on. Decay versus Reno Scum.
so that's
Decay.
gonna be Crazy Steven Black Taurus. Yeah, Reno Scum's gonna show no offense whatsoever. I don't even see this being a back and forth match. I see this being Black Taurus just comes in, wipes the both of them, and done.
Yeah, pretty well. Pretty well. Chris Sabin and James Storm with Jake Something at ringside versus Violent by Design consisting of Diener and Joe Doring with Eric Young at ringside. Violent by Design.
Has to be. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Something turns on his team here.
They'll save it for Rebellion.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they're gonna have a big match with Violent by Design, the four of them versus four other people.
They could. But I think we agree Violent by Design one way or another picks up the win.
Yes, 100%.
Holds harmless match, Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers.
This is gonna be a great submission match, man.
So who wins?
Eddie wins because it's gonna be his match.
I think they give it to Myers.
The thing is we literally have shown Eddie Edwards already descending down into this like hardcore wrestler again. So if he loses here, what does he do?
We make it screwy and give it to Myers because Hernandez gets involved and Cardona gets involved, and somehow Edwards gets caught in the crossfire. Myers picks it up, and we set up Cardona and Myers at Rebellion. That is what will happen.
I only want that match if it's got some kind of stipulation, and I wouldn't mind seeing some kind of like cage match or something.
So here's the thing. I really don't fucking care if we get the match. I just, honest to God, I'm sitting here and like, what's the outcome? It's Myers and Cardona. How do we get Myers and Cardona out of this? That's how we get it.
Yeah.
Not even a question in my opinion. But we'll present it anyways. For the Impact World Tag Team Championships, the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, against New Japan Pro Wrestling's Finn Juice, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson. Who will win the match?
It's got to be Finn Juice, right? It's the only logical solution. So if you couldn't feel the sarcasm...
Oh my god, man, I felt it like no tomorrow. The Good Brothers win.
Yeah, Good Brothers are going to win, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually just a clean match, like straight through, no screwiness, no nothing, just
I
straight up.
still think we're getting, maybe not for the titles, but I think we lead around to the Bucks and Good Brothers at Rebellion.
No, what this all comes to is Adam Cole leading the Good Brothers and some other people versus Kenny and the Bucks, blood and guts.
No, we've already got our blood and guts match.
Okay, their version of like an elimination chamber or something then.
No, we only need one promotion to do that, and WWE's already got their grasp on that. We're good there.
Could they get away with doing a Hell in a Cell, an Armageddon match? Because that's a thing. 6 men in a Hell in a Cell on Armageddon match.
I don't know. I just don't want AEW to have 12 different cage types like WWE has.
I get that, but I do like having a steel cage and a cell because they are 2 very different variants on that match.
I don't know. I don't think we need this big climactic build to anything. I think we just need to get the Bucks and Good Brothers out of the way at Rebellion. The thing is, Impact needs a payoff, and the worst part is either they're going to fuck finish the main event at Rebellion, or Omega takes the title. Impact needs a win here, so you put the Bucks on the card and have the Good Brothers beat the Bucks. Just don't do it title for title.
I mean, but the thing is if they do it title for title, it sets up the Bullet Club as the guys to beat, and then
Fuck
the
it.
Bucks.
I have a prediction for when we finish this.
Okay.
You can finish your thought.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if the Good Brothers win the AEW tag team titles, that's not exactly a bad thing.
I don't see Tony Khan giving it to people that aren't under contract with him.
But who's to say they're not in a dual contract?
Well, whatever they're under in AEW is very minimal.
For sure, 100%.
Because it was an exclusive contract to TNA.
100%. But like the thing is with this working relationship, their contract might now be, the way it's worded, almost exactly what Doc and Carl wanted out of their contracts, so they could do things like this without Impact actually knowing it at the time.
I've got a prediction that's going to blow the forbidden door wide open.
Tony Khan versus Scott D'Amore.
No, but I didn't know I needed to see that until only if we make it a tag team match.
Playa.
No, I've got it. We're gonna have a 3-way tag team match. We're gonna have Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone versus Scott D'Amore and Don Callis versus Adam Pearce and Bruce Pritchard.
Oh no!
I just booked the biggest match of all time.
Oh my god. Something to Botch About just got a sequel.
Oh my god. Anyways, Impact Knockouts Championship match, Deonna Purrazzo, ODB, Deonna.
There's no way ODB wins. There's no way. I like how you and I have both gotten to the same situation where we're like, what's going on with our brains?
Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships, Fire and Flava, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz versus Jordynne Grace and Jazz.
Unfortunately, Fire and Flavor are going to win because we're going to eventually set up for Jordynne Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo.
See, I hope my prediction is Jordynne Grace and Jazz, and then we get Havoc and Nevaeh against them because their whole point is we beat you guys, and then we put the titles on Havoc and Nevaeh like we should have at the beginning. I'm going to be hopeful.
We already had the chance to do that, and they didn't. They already, one, they had the chance to just have Havoc and Nevaeh win it. Two, they had the chance to retcon it with having them beat Fire and Flava clean, and they didn't. So why?
Because that's what I want.
Okay, fine. Moving on. The X title? Or did we already do that?
Oh, I totally skipped that. Holy fuck. Impact X Division Championship. TJP versus Ace Austin. TJP wins.
TJP wins because they're doing this thing with Ace Austin where they're just not letting him win.
Yeah. And then the main event of the evening, the unification match of the Impact World Championship and the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Rich Swann versus Moose.
To create the Impact World Heavyweight Championship.
Yep. I mean, the spoilers are already out there about this match. So,
wait. Oh yeah, we could have just looked at the spoilers to been right for our predictions, man. What are we doing?
I don't know if the rest of the matches are out. I know that match is out.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure if I looked, I could find the rest of them.
They are there. They're definitely there.
But Rich Swann.
It has to be. Like, again, I hate to say it, it has to be.
Because we don't feed Moose to Kenny Omega. I'm not saying I don't want that match.
Oh, I would love to see Moose take the fucking one-winged angel.
So, here's my prediction, okay? Ready for this? You ready for this? Okay.
My body is ready.
Good, because it's about to get fucked. So, we predicted for a long time about Tony Khan purchasing Impact Wrestling.
Yes, yeah.
I believe the deal is done.
Yeah, because it's not the first time Impact sold quietly.
And Rebellion is going to feature not only Kenny Omega versus, well, Rich Swann, obviously. World title versus world title.
It would be nice to say winner of Moose versus Swann.
Winner of Moose versus Swann being Swann against Kenny Omega, title versus title. But we also are going to receive the Young Bucks versus the Good Brothers, title versus title. Yeah. We're going to receive Hikaru Shida versus Deonna Purrazzo, title versus title. We are going to receive Darby Allin versus TJP and or Chris Bay and or Josh Alexander, whatever they do there. Title versus title. And then the Impact Knockout tag titles just kind of get mixed and lost in the shuffle, which is whatever. Yeah. I believe Rebellion is Impact Wrestling's final event. AEW, Tony Khan has purchased and is going to be this big title versus title event to determine who is going to be coming into All Elite Wrestling, setting up their other show on TNT and whatnot, and basically ushering in this new wave of pro wrestling.
Yeah. No, that's very, very accurate.
Because the thing is, I think we get the payoff of the Bucks and the Good Brothers. We know we're getting Kenny in that main event.
Yeah.
Why don't we just fucking call Khan buying Impact? We know Khan's got deep enough pockets. We've had this conversation. It was like talking with chatters a few weeks back about it. Somebody making the comment of, I don't think Anthem needs money. Impact's not drawing anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
AEW is. I'm sure if AEW turned around and was like, hey, Anthem, we'll buy these guys for like this 7-figure, I'm sure they could fucking buy it for less money than they've fucking offered out on certain contracts.
Yeah.
And be like, here's this money, sell us Impact. And I'm sure Anthem would go, you want this? Here you go.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I mean,
money talks. Like there's no way around it. Money talks.
like this is the finale of this, right?
This is I don't want to say this is where Impact dies, but this is where Impact officially is purchased by AEW, and the Tuesday night show becomes Tuesday night AEW Impact.
And then we just move Dark to Thursdays, which I'm okay with.
Yeah. Or they sign a whole new deal for Impact to move it to Thursdays.
I'm just trying to figure out, you know, what would be the best shit ever. And then we'll wrap the podcast up. I want NXT to announce right after Mania, the week after Mania. I want them to announce this is our final night on Wednesdays. We are officially moving to Tuesdays starting next week, like the week after Mania.
Yeah.
And everybody be like, oh, wow, okay, cool. Like, all they have to put up with is Impact. I want Rebellion to happen and AEW be like, we purchased Impact Wrestling, and now All Elite Wrestling's Impact will air on TNT Tuesdays at 8.
And then NXT just goes, oh, man.
But what bigger of a fuck you, right? Because the worst part is now, like, the thing is, if NXT moves there, Impact loses even more. So you're damn right Anthem's gonna sell them off.
Oh yeah, no, the writing's on the wall for Anthem to just be like, well, I mean, you're gonna give me money, I'll take that.
Oh, this has been a show. You got anything else to add here, or are we good to wrap this fucker up?
No, I don't have any more wrestling points to mention. No.
So, well, as per usual, I'll sit up to finish this podcast off.
Yeah, I guess that'll look better, won't it?
This has been another late night mega show.
We're gonna get better at this, we promise.
Yes, it has just been a crazy fucking few weeks. We can verify next Thursday, this upcoming Thursday's podcast will not take place on Thursday due to circumstances again. But here's hoping things work out here in the very near future for us. And whatnot. But anyways, thank you anybody for listening, watching, whether it be live on VOD or on one of our podcasting platforms we are available on. We appreciate absolutely all of the support. And if you want any more from Walking the Ropes, you can find absolutely everything through our link tree, as I said at the top of the show. That includes social media, every site you can watch and listen to us on, and ways to support us. It is all on there. Plus a fun new addition on our link tree is our TikTok account, which I'm not aware. I'm not very much so into the TikTok trend. I am very much so a techie geeky person, but TikTok is one thing I have not gotten myself into. I know you have. I know you will probably primarily be running it.
Yeah, there's nothing on there currently. I'm gonna be working, at least doing an intro video here, within the next coming days. So there's at least something on the page to intro us a little bit. But other than that, just look for basically probably just news updates on there.
Just
And
some
when we're going
fun
live,
shit.
yeah,
Fun
like
shit.
if we see botches like Botchamania and stuff like that, we might show little clips and stuff like that because that's always fun.
We'll have a blast with it. But
Yeah,
yeah, that link tree is available in bios, descriptions, everywhere you find us. And yeah, any last notes there, Blake?
With our news, we enjoy when you guys send us tweets with the news that you would like us to cover. It helps make our news segments so much more flowable and readable and just more fun for us and you guys. And it's actually interesting, and we're not just sitting there umming and ahhing about what news we want to write and whatever. So it helps us out and helps you out in the long run.
Yeah, so tweet us anything you see and or hear, as well as any sources and whatnot for us to follow up on to get more of the scoop. Um, but yeah, with that being said, once again, to finish off here, thank you everybody for listening, watching, supporting, and everything. We enjoy doing this, even though sometimes we don't show it all that much, specifically covering shit like SmackDown. Um, but we do greatly enjoy doing this. We like watching wrestling, we like talking wrestling, and it's just tough to do so at 2 a.m.
2:30.
Holy fuck. Anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in. We will be back with a review episode of Sacrifice. Stay tuned to our Twitter for that announcement. As always, for our announcements of going live and whatnot. But we'll be back for that, and I guess we will see you then. Take care and enjoy.
See ya.